your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! You maniac! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
You heard it up top. We are going bananas because things are about to get a little outrageous, a little hectic, a little apish. Because guess what? We're talking Planet of the Apes here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Astronaut Colin.
I guess just astronaut Mike.
You can call me Bright Eyes Jacob.
Oh, Bright Eyes Jacob. Great. I want a lover. I don't have the
Hello,
love.
hello, Bright Eyes.
Yes. Bright Eyes, do your trick. Come on, Bright Eyes.
Bright Eyes, you stole my little pencil, Bright Eyes. You're so silly.
Right.
Humans will do that. They're shifty.
Human see, human do, you know. So
We're saying the
obviously
greatest
we're
quotes
excited.
of all time, yes, because we're talking
That's
the
right.
greatest movie ever, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, potent quotables. Yeah, Planet of the Apes, one of the sci-fi classics. Charlton Heston, obviously, starring in this thing. But we're kicking off, we're finishing April and beginning Planet of the Mapes, I guess,
That's right.
properly. With the original. And I kind of pitched this after we finished Pirates, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
What's another long-standing series? We're trying to roll it over, and I've always liked all the original movies, and I haven't seen all of the remakes. I've seen like 2 out of 3, and we're getting a 4th one coming up next week. So we figured, let's just do it. Let's do Planet of the April, or Mapes.
That's right. It ties into the new one that's coming out in the Planet of the Mapes later this month. For me, I had never seen any of these original ones, so I'm very excited to talk about this. I am a fan of the new ones, and so I'm excited to get to those in about 6 months. But I'm also excited to talk about these because I've never seen these. This is my first time watching Planet of the Apes, 1968.
Wow, that's wild. It's cool to know.
Ooh.
I'm going to be interested to get your perspective. Colin, what about you? What was your background with the original?
Jacob, have you seen any of the other weird Charlton Heston sci-fi films like Soylent Green or
Commandments.
Omega Man? Obviously, the fakest and most unrealistic of them all. The
Science
10
fantasy.
Commandments.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Omega Man, I believe that is that Will Smith. I Am Legend was based on the same source material as Omega Man. They're both based on the same book, I believe.
That's correct.
But I don't think I've ever seen it. So no, not really.
Fantastic movies. Mike, have you seen any of those old Charlton Heston classics?
I think to this day, this is, well, barring maybe another movie in the series, this is the only Charlton Heston exposure I have, period.
Wow.
I mainly know Charlton Heston as a crazy old man who's going, I love guns. Give me my guns.
He does in this too, so we saw it early.
That's right.
Well,
he loves guns and hates people.
He knows that we need them to protect ourselves, even though monkeys have guns as well.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, I grew up with a dad who loved Charlton Heston, so I'll just say that I watched those a lot. Did not have a ton of early exposure with this, but obviously my first interaction with Planet of the Apes was, we've shared it a bunch, we'll probably talk about it a bunch, the very classic Simpsons bit in the episode A Fish Called Selma, which featured the Troy McClure actor character doing a musical of Planet of the Apes, right? And I remember my father explaining all the gags to me and then saying, because it was only a couple years later, hey, that's that thing. Let's go see this Tim Burton movie. And did you guys see that in theaters?
I don't know if I saw it in theaters, but I did see it around when it came out at some point.
Yeah, around 2001-ish.
And again, I didn't have a reference, for the original, so I was like, this seems fine. I knew it was a remake of an older movie that I hadn't seen, but I was like, it's not bad.
I think Wahlberg, he can stand toe-to-toe with Charlton Heston, as far
That's
as
right.
acting prowess.
I think for people our age, the draw was probably, and we're obviously going to do that episode down the line, so we'll talk about all this, but was that it was Tim Burton, who was kind of like an early filmmaker that people our age could be like, whoa, that's a guy you can identify as a quote-unquote filmmaker. But my love for this stopped at that. Like, I saw that movie in theaters. We got it on DVD, and I watched it a couple times, but I had never seen these until, like, well into college, and it's just not a franchise that really stuck around with me. So I'm excited to rewatch them all.
Yeah, I mean, I love all these originals. Like I said, I had the Blu-rays of them. I saw this well before, I even saw the Simpsons thing. Like I knew Planet of the Apes, right? And
Wow.
there is a twist ending that we'll get to when we get there. But did you guys know kind of the surprise when you were going into this? Because it is pretty pop culture
I think
saturated.
from The Simpsons it was kind of explained to me. I think I
Hmm.
kind of walked into this and it's so interesting that maybe I'd say this too. The other Charlton Heston film. Do you guys know the Soylent Green twist? Having not seen that
I don't
film.
know that.
Yes, yes, I do.
Interesting.
Oh,
Okay.
you
Well,
don't?
Mike. So, Mike, did you see Planet of the Apes not knowing the twist?
I did not know the twist. I saw it when I was younger.
Wow.
My dad just had a big collection of movies. I think he liked collecting movies more than watching them, but we had a ton.
Sure.
So, and I like
That's
sci-fi
cool.
because I like Star Wars, and we somehow got around to Planet of the Apes, and
Yeah.
I just always liked this movie a lot. And then I got into the sequels, and yeah, this is a franchise that's kind of, I think I like it more than most people. Let's say that. So I didn't know the twist, and I was
Yeah.
really blown away. Like when I first saw it, I was like, dang, that's crazy. So
For me, I definitely knew the twist. I knew all the cultural like
yeah,
osmosis. It's a lot like Star Wars, where it's like everybody knows the twists of Star Wars and stuff.
Right.
yeah,
And like you, Colin, I knew the Simpsons reference before I ever saw the movie because I've never seen it until now. But I did know it from that Simpsons reference as well. So that's all. That's my main
incredible.
touchstone into this series. So
Okay, well,
I'm
I'm
excited.
stoked to really kick this off then with the original. And again, before we get into the episode, the keeping on our tradition of literary adaptations, this was based on a
That's
book,
right.
a French book called La Planète des Singes, or Planet of Monkeys or something. But yeah,
Yes, Monkey World is kind of what it more
a
accurately
direct,
translates
yeah,
to, which is
Monkey
very
World.
interesting.
Which again, monkeys, apes, we pitched that we're going to do Mean Monkey, month, and it's
Yeah.
like we know there's a difference between monkeys and apes. Clearly, okay, audience, don't
I
at
don't
us.
know that
Yeah.
I do, Mike. I
You
don't know that
don't,
I
Well,
do know that.
Jacob. Do you know the
monkeys are a
difference?
kind of ape, I believe.
No, false.
Well, monkeys and apes are like cousins
They're
to
simians,
humans,
but yeah,
essentially.
monkeys
Yeah.
have
Sure.
tails. Apes do not, right?
Right,
So like a
right.
Oh,
baboon
okay.
is a
Some
monkey,
elves
right?
have tails as well.
What?
Said some elves have tails as well.
True,
Little
true,
known
true. But so
fact.
they wouldn't be apes; they would be
Uh,
monkey elves or something. But
yeah.
and then you have
So
old
they
world
split
monkeys.
off at some point in the evolutionary
Yeah,
chain where one grew tails and one didn't, basically.
one
But
decided we're gonna walk around.
orangutans
Yeah,
are apes, right? Or no? Gorillas and orangutans are versions of, or
they're apes.
subgenres
Now,
of
how
apes.
do you
Chimpanzees,
say
gorillas.
orangutan, if I may ask?
How did I say it?
You say orangutans?
Orangutan. Orangutan.
Orangutans.
Orangutan. Well, those are
Orangutans.
apes. So everything in this film is an ape, but we'll make mean monkey joke. But
That's
you know,
right.
and again, you have to know your New World and Old World monkeys. New World monkeys have their eyes front facing. Old World monkeys are like lemurs. Their eyes are on the side. This is all
That's
very
right.
relevant.
I know all of
Um,
that already, of
Can
course.
I ask
Yeah.
one last question before we jump in now? This is our long form series. We've done a ton of these. We just came off Pirates, like Mike said.
Mhm.
We're diving into this one. This is like 9, including the new one, right? We're going to be here for a while.
I think so. Yeah.
There's
I'll pull up the
5.
exact number.
5
Then
original.
there's the Tim Burton ones, and then there's 4. So technically 10 by the time we get to the new one, which will
Wow.
be in a year.
Super excited and interesting. Do we
Yeah.
add a bonus to that? Do we start pitching and thinking now through these episodes? Because I've got a couple thoughts. Is it either 2001: A Space Odyssey, a movie very famous for having a monkey
Oh,
sequence
sure.
in it?
Yeah.
Or is it
Space.
something like Dunstan Checks In, a movie that just like has a real monkey?
The difference.
Mm.
There's also Harry and the Henderson DNA tied to this movie.
Sure.
So,
Sure. That's good.
or we just do every King Kong as we kind of kicked around as a joke.
Yeah,
But
that's a good
Right.
idea.
there's a lot of things we could do with monkeys. We could keep this rolling for another
Yeah.
5 years. 5
Hey, I
years.
love monkey movies.
I
So-
hate monkey movies. I'm scared of
Oh, that's
monkeys in the
unfortunate.
same way that I'm scared of horses. I'm very worried that, like, Nope, one of them will rip my face off.
Fair.
Yeah,
See,
maybe we should watch Nope.
let's watch
Great movie.
MVP, Most Valuable Primate.
Ugh,
Yeah.
no.
All right, well, we can determine who we think the MVP of this movie is by the time we get to the ending. So I say we hop into it right now. Let's crash land this ship, walk around the desert for a little bit, skinny dip, and talk Planet of the Apes.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. An incredible Jerry Goldsmith score, isn't that what it is playing over us right now. Now, Mike, again,
Yeah.
you're doing some incredible video work that I am worried our listeners who don't go to our YouTube at Normies _like_us see. You are chomping away on that, my Heston friend.
Well, you know,
Love it.
if I was going to be on a mission to space to recolonize Earth, I think the main thing I would want is my cigar and my
That's right.
sleep heroin, you know? Yeah. But
It's
that's
you
just
can
a
really
bit.
tell this movie was made in the 1960s because of that. I was like,
Yeah.
smoking on his small spaceship seems
Uh-huh.
not like a great idea, but
He's the
Not a
last one up.
mention of sending a probe down to the planet they land on of like, is there air or anything? He pops out of that, the cigar already lit again. They're
that's
walking
right. He
around
had it in
an
his
alien
pocket.
planet. He's ashing on foreign substances. They get
Yeah.
excited when they see a plant, but we'll talk all this.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But it's
Um,
like we watch a movie like Annihilation or something, and it's like, don't touch the plants. And then it's like, just cigars fine, you know? But anyway,
Yeah,
very
right.
60s. But
Important.
what's the background of this
Very
thing? Jokes
60s.
aside.
Planet of the Apes, 1968. It is directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, who did Patton. He also did Boys from Brazil. Are you guys familiar with either of those movies?
Familiar with Patton.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
Yeah.
both. The boys from Brazil, that has to do with like Nazi war criminals going to Brazil and making clones, I believe, of Hitler.
It's another movie where I just like pray to God that Mike doesn't know the twist because it's this era of
I don't.
movies. You just got to check them all out, listeners. They're super crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
right. There is, again, just a little more background that I did do some research on. There is a bit of, let's say, Twilight Zone DNA in this, as far as, you know,
That's
one of
right.
the directors was attached, the first pass of the script, so the twist is a
Well, I
big
know
thing.
Rod Serling was involved with the writing of this, right? Who's obviously the creator of Twilight Zone.
He did the first couple drafts, I think, right, Colin?
The screenplay ended up getting taken away from him. I'll tell you guys, one thing stayed, and that is a certain landmark that shows up at the end, which again is not in the book at all. To talk a little bit about the French novel, I forget what the word is. Apostolary. It is essentially written as diary. You guys know what I mean?
Oh,
That's sort of
yeah,
how
yeah.
the first Stephen King book's written, Carrie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with how that's written, but it's like, you know, like an account of a tale of, you know, these are the strange things that I'm like,
Oh,
you know,
sure.
writing down as it's happening. And
That's
it's very
right.
much a movie set in modern times at the time it was written in the 30s in France, like Mike said. And is not like this ancient, almost sort of like Greco-Roman culture that the film has.
Yeah, like they're working in, from what I understand, I haven't read it yet, but I did some research. They're working in skyscrapers, office buildings, suits, and like I guess there's aliens that find essentially like the message in a bottle account of what the astronauts saw. So that's what they're reading, is those log entries, essentially. Yeah.
Very strange.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I thought of? A really scary science fiction story would be, instead of a planet controlled by apes, a planet controlled by French people.
Oh, a planet
That would be
controlled by
really scary.
mimes.
In the original novel, Jacob, obviously he can't communicate with the ape, so he has to learn ape. They have to learn French to communicate with him. So they are speaking French the entire time.
Of course.
I think
Yeah.
that's very funny. A bunch of apes being like, parlez-vous français?
And he's got to figure out whatever the simian dialect is. Yeah, as opposed to that, they can just speak English. It's a little bit easier for Heston, I think, in this movie.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty nice.
Well, in the book is spoiler alert about the twist of this movie, right? We should say
We're going to be talking about the whole thing, obviously.
That's right.
Yeah.
In the original book, there's not the twist of the planet is actually Earth.
I don't think so.
So can I, just to set us up, we're going to talk about obviously the whole thing. And again, we're going to get first reactions. I'm excited to talk all this. The one bit of confusion I have is, what is the mission they're going on? Because in the book, it truly is time dilation is what they're studying.
Yes.
But in this, are they studying time dilation, or are they colonizing a foreign planet?
My thinking in the movie is they're colonizing the planet. Because Charlton Heston
it seems like
explicitly explains, hey, that's what Stewart was here for.
Yeah, there's a
Stewart,
very
that's
weird
what her
scene.
name is. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've got one woman with her.
She was going to
we're gonna
please us.
repopulate this planet
What?
with humans.
Yes.
Unfortunately, she died. So now,
well, in the book, I don't believe that's what it is. I believe that they
Mhm.
know that they're just traveling through time almost, or it is a mistake of some kind.
Well, literally,
So-
the first scene of this is, he's sitting at the control, chomping on a cigar. Everyone I know is dead. 700 years have passed, but for me, it's only 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very wild. But I guess that's the thing. The setup, is, we're going to colonize a planet. It's super future. I love cigars, Everyone else is sleeping. And he just kind of pitches like, I don't like humanity. Let's see what happens. He's very kind of nihilistic.
Hate humanity.
Yes.
Taylor, we're
He's
talking
an
about
interesting
astronaut
main
Taylor,
character.
played by Charlton Heston. Now, Jacob, you say an interesting character. That's literally the reason he took the role. This was going to be a small indie project. Charlton Heston attached himself and said, no, I want to play a character that goes from pessimistic to being humanity's last stand and hope. And they bumped up the budget a ton. And of course, 20th Century Fox steps in, and that's how all this comes together. The makeup, we can talk about all of that. It's made by an Academy Award. I mean, they basically invent the Academy Award for makeup for this performance because the year prior to it, 2001, didn't win it. Got nothing for it. So
like we finally need to start recognizing this, and then it would eventually. So that's very cool. But yeah, go ahead, Jacob. Yeah, what's your first impressions or general thoughts here?
Please, what do you think, Dog?
I really liked it. Having never seen it before, I didn't know exactly what to expect. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? That was really good. And I understand why, it's so famous, of course. My biggest problem, I guess, with it is sometimes the pacing felt weird. Like, for instance, in the beginning, where it starts out a little slow, where they crash land on the planet. It's a lot of just these three guys walking around, and you don't even see. It's a movie called Planet of the Apes. These apes don't even show up until about half an hour into a 2-hour
small
movie.
city. Now, but Jacob,
City
you
of the
say
Apes.
like City of the Apes.
That's funny.
Suburb of the Apes, block of the Apes. You say like you didn't know what to expect. I'll say, as somebody who has seen this film before, sitting down to it, when you watch it and you realize what's washing over you is, oh, this is literally a perfect 3-act structure film where it's like, it's 3 movies. It's space adventure on a barren world. It's creature feature. I can't believe it. And then it's courtroom drama, which is kind of like, kind of like a slow drawn out thing. So the 2 bookends, these sort of like slower things to what you expect when you grow up in pop culture being like, well, Planet of the Apes, that's the movie where like every scene is like apes, 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 apes.
Right.
This is not that movie, my friend.
No, it starts as this like slow survival movie of crash landing on this alien planet. And then even how it ends is like they have that long scene in the archaeological caves and stuff. And it's like, I'm like, this movie's about to end, and I still haven't even got to this famous last scene yet.
Right.
And I looked at the runtime; it was like a little under 2 hours. I'm like, that's crazy because I mean, obviously they were probably limited by their budget and stuff, but this movie could have been longer. And probably if it was made today, like every movie's like 2.5 hours now. So I felt like I was like, damn, this is pretty short for what happens in this movie.
They cover a lot of ground, like literally and figuratively, like because there's a lot of, debating happening over like faith versus science and theology and classism. Right. There's a lot of topics being covered as like kind of a moral parable, which is why I like these. I said off pod that they're like Aesop's fables, like all these original movies. They're all just different kind of parables. But I could also see a version of this that is like 47 minutes and airs as a Twilight Zone episode as well. Like I could go both ways.
You understand where we were heading in the 70s with Star Trek, Mike. Like sci-fi used to just be like, well, what if one thing was weird and people had meetings? And you're like, oh, wow, that's what a concept.
No, it reminds me of like Measure of a Man or something, the classic Next Generation episode where it's like, what if humans were the animals? What if apes controlled society? And what rights does this person have?
It asks the question right now, Jacob. What if a cow talked? And what if its first words right now in our society were an insult where it was like, you guys smell? You were like, not only come like one talk out of nowhere, like what it said was the craziest sentence to yell at you.
Don't touch me. Yeah.
And your whole society is like, those things can talk? It said a full sentence. That's crazy.
Well, if they would have been able to translate what John Blackthorne said in Portuguese, like he pretty much said the same thing too. But but this is like 68, like they were filming in 67, like there's a civil rights movement, this is Vietnam, like a lot of these issues are big talking points of society of equal rights and that too. So it is like a product of its time in that way.
Well, the hosing scene, Mike, I was really, when I looked up the time period, I really thought about the civil rights movement and the moment where a guy is hosing someone down to rob them of their humanity. Just absolutely horrifying.
So for what seems like, maybe potentially goofy sci-fi movie, especially looking back. Like the special effects, I think are great still, but it is a little, it's dated for what it is. But I love it. It's like really charming.
No,
For
I
that. But
think
like you would
for
not realize how much, like cultural like commentary
yeah,
is happening here. Yeah.
for the time period, I mean, 1968. I think it's the obviously the makeup and the special effects. I think they hold up really well, and the cinematography and the action scenes even. But
Hmm.
even though I thought like some of the scenes, like his escape scene, kind of went on too long, where it's like
Hmm.
he's running around pushing a lot of apes over and stuff.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
funny scene, but it's like, okay, I get it. He's trying
Classic.
to escape.
And I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see the Mark Wahlberg
Classic.
version of that scene. Oh my God.
It's
Oh man.
it's a I can't wait for that either.
Yeah.
It's a movie that I also get a little bugged about when it has these absolutely like insane plot contrivances of like Taylor was kind of shot in the throat. So this guy who
Right.
could just wrap all this up by saying
Hmm.
like, actually, I'm like a dude and I'm smart and stuff. That's not happening. He's constantly not getting like a paper and pen where he can write down like, knock this off. I understand what you monkeys are up to.
Hmm.
This is garbage nonsense. So that it bugs me a little, but again, like the thrill ride that we're on, and it just when you watch this movie, it really feels like a movie. And I know that's a dumb thing to
Mm.
say, but it just feels like all this stuff Mike just said about civil rights and stuff. Like it's not only again that there's messaging here that it's important. We're talking about the special effects. We're talking about the actors, but you have Charlton Heston, who again was Moses,
Yeah.
playing again because if you guys haven't seen Omega Man, that is like the Jesus parable, is what that
Mm.
essentially is. That movie ends with him being crucified. Like it is like an
Wow.
insane. Like he is this figure that is like he's Adam and Eve in this. Like
Mm.
there are so many like religious tones
Hmm.
that are going on while also asking questions of being like a monkey talks about how they evolved from humans, and basically Taylor's like, that's ridiculous. But
You're
it's
so
like, well, yeah,
stupid.
Yeah.
but like, what our idea of it's ridiculous then? The reverse of that? Like, it's like
Yeah.
it's almost questioning that. Like, there's almost conflicting ideas going on in this movie. But I think that's what makes it interesting is it has so many ideas.
Yeah, a
Mm.
lot of big ideas, and like you said, it becomes basically a courtroom drama where you're debating evolution and faith and science and all this stuff.
Right.
But I think Charlton Heston, the way he plays this character is so interesting because he's like this pessimistic cowboy who, he has these like
Hmm.
philosophical discussions with the other guy in his crew at the beginning where he's like, "You just like hate the
Landed.
world, don't you?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
Hate
that one
the
scene where he
world.
plants the American flag and he just starts laughing.
Yeah. It's so
What a
cynical.
ridiculous thing. But then it's almost like a pessimistic movie because the ending is just so nihilistic where it's like, yeah, he started out pessimistic and then by the end of it he's so like he's lost all despair because the big twist,
Hmm.
and that's literally just how the movie ends. It's crazy.
So
Yeah.
I said in a past episode, I can't even remember what one it was. I apologize about this, but I told a story about how Joe and I had cable when we first moved to California, and I would record everything. And because of that, I was a super huge Mad Men fan.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
I brought this up then, and I want to bring this up now, and I should have shared this with you guys. But if you're familiar with this scene, if you guys watch Mad Men as well,
Hmm.
obviously that show takes place in the 60s. There's a very famous episode where he finally interacts with his son, Don Draper, John Hamm's character, and
Right.
takes young Bobby Draper to a movie. And it cuts to the kid on the edge of his seat, Jacob, leaning forward, and it goes, "You madmen, you blew it up." And it's the
Yep.
last scene of this movie. And again, I had probably never seen this film at this point. And if you watch this film, and again, listeners, I urge you to, if you have not, this is a really one of a kind weird movie. There's no score, there's nothing. It's this beautiful,
It just
weird
fades out
silence
on that last
as
shot.
it fades out on that the weird, most nihilistic ending ever. And it cuts to a reverse shot of John Hamm. And I'm going to lean back. So I'm sorry, listeners, because I have to
Hmm.
perform this.
I
for
know
this
this.
guy.
I know this scene. Yeah.
Smoking a cigarette, and he goes, he shakes his head, kind of like hits his cigarette away and looks up, and Bobby, his son, turns back and goes, "That's it? What does that mean?" And he
Right.
goes, "Well," and it's not that he explains that it's this planet. It's what Jacob just said about it's the heaviness of the ending.
Hmm.
It's not that you're putting together like what it means. It's just literally like you just watch the film and you're like, that's how they're ending it, but that's the bleakest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
And
Well, and this
not to spoil
character,
this franchise, it's gonna keep going that way. Sorry,
I'm
go right
excited to
ahead.
get to the
Yeah, yeah, no,
sequels,
that's
yeah.
incredible. I love that show.
But like
yeah.
Taylor, he's talking to Landon in the beginning. He's like, "Yeah, I'm on this mission because I gotta think there's something better out here than what we've done on Earth with man. You know, fighting his own brother. You know,
Do you
all
let your
this
neighbor's
stuff."
children starve when you have extra food? He says all that stuff in
Yeah.
the beginning. Yeah, yeah.
He's like, "I gotta hope there's something
Fuck.
better." And then by the end of it, he's just like losing it, man. It's
Damn it.
When
great.
he
There's not.
sees the mummy of the girl who has a crack in her hyperbaric chamber, and that's why she is like 1,000 years old, he goes, "Oh, it's a shame we lost the breeding stock." Basically, you're like,
Yeah.
this guy has to die by the end of this movie. He's like a villain.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
I-
thoughts about women that are interesting.
No, and I'll get into that. But there's
Yeah.
I think Taylor is a absolute madman. Speaking of madmen, like he is the least qualified to have survived because we have Dodge, who's like the scientist that say he'd walk into a
Right.
volcano naked if he could learn something, and then Landon's like the good old astronaut boy who's basically doing this out of career legacy. It's like, oh, I just had to. I'm the
And then
best
there's
of the best.
And then there's a 65-year-old man, Mike,
Smoking a
that's who you
cigar.
would send into space.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, what? Is this what NASA would do? 500
But
years
he's
from
probably
now?
most likely to survive just because he's good at self-preservation. But
It's
I
like when
guess.
we sent John Glenn up to circle the moon when he was a senator, and people are like, "Let's just see what happens when we send like a guy that
Yeah.
old into space." It was
Yeah.
like
And I
it's
do-
like an experiment.
Exactly, and it's just great because the movie opens with him just smoking his cigar, talking about how he hates shit. He just injects himself with sleep heroin or whatever, and then no teeth brushing. Just I'm gonna lay down for 2,000 years. It's like the most wild
right.
Cigar in my
sequence.
pocket.
Get kind of
Yeah.
comfortable. Let me see, like
The best of the best, you know. It's like okay, the best and brightest eyes we send to space.
yeah, it's wild.
Do you think they all put themselves to sleep, or he put them all asleep? Because if
Well, I guess he was like the
drifting off,
captain.
and this
of the
madman
mission.
was like, "Screw the Earth, screw everything." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
I'll be right
like, As
there.
I'm like fading away, I'd be like, "I would assume he sabotaged our mission."
Dude,
Yeah.
right, I woke up. He likes to party. He's the last one up. You know, it's all right. You know, but
Yeah.
it is funny
But
when
yeah,
he does
so-
realize, like, he's just so flat about it. Like, looks like we're here to stay. Like when the ship goes under, he's like, he really
Yeah, no
doesn't give
emotion
a
about-
shit. Yeah,
they're
At
gonna-
least the idiot locals and primitives will probably rule over them. Like
In a
immediately,
week,
like starts
yeah.
that too. You're like, no.
Yeah.
yeah. They run from a rock at one point. That was very silly. I'm curious how they made that
Yeah.
one big rock.
He.
They hide behind other rocks to run from that rock. It's
Uh-huh.
very insane.
Yeah,
Yeah, and immediately upon seeing the native humans, he immediately sees a female that he takes an
Here we
interest
go.
in. It's like, well, I guess I'll take her as my mate.
yeah. It's like
I've
we don't
been-
know this primitive humanoid species. We don't even. He thinks they're on a different planet, and he's like, that thing. I'm gonna get
That alien that looks
Later,
like a human. Yeah,
He
I'm
says, I have experienced physical love. He says, I'm not a virgin, but never love
been
of
a
the
lot
heart.
of lovers, but I've never.
Then he says
Yeah.
that of what is her name? Nova, the
Nova.
human character. Kim Hunter, right? Is that correct?
No, that's Linda.
Oh, that's Zira. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Get it. I have
Linda
it.
Harrison, I'm sorry,
Harrison,
as
yep.
Nova. As sort of the first humans they come across, just absolutely insane, Jacob, that he basically just goes dibs.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the weird thing
Batman.
is, like these native humans are mute, and this was sort of a part of the plot. And I thought at some point, because they talk about how like we don't know why they're mute. Their speech functions seem to be capable, but they can't talk. It must be in their brain.
Mhm.
And he kind of communicates with her. She never speaks in this movie,
Mhm.
so they kind of communicate non-verbally. But I actually thought there was going to be another twist I didn't even know about, where she was going to speak at some point, because there's kind of some
Sure.
foreshadowing of that when she's
Mm.
like telling him not to speak and stuff. So I thought, yeah,
So in the book,
That's a good
and
point.
again, I have not read the book. This is all from a
Same.
summary that I grazed through. The apes are so sophisticated, Jacob, that they do the brain surgery that obviously Zira has been doing, because obviously Dr. Zayas says that he has no problem with the brain surgery, but he also thinks it's a little ungodly. But in the book, they do this weird thing where they tap into the speech patterns of the humans because the humans cannot talk like in the movie, and they live their past lives like through reincarnation and say like 200 years ago when we were normal, we stopped talking because we got little helper monkeys to do everything for us. So basically, we just got so dumb. It's almost like the people on Wall-E, right? Or it's almost like an AI allegory or like a Siri allegory.
Well, that's
right?
super
We
weird.
just got so stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just thought in this movie, obviously the apes just speak English. They just evolved to also speak English.
We assume they just
greatest
found
language ever invented, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I actually thought they were like laying the threads for a twist that the humans were going to be capable of speech the whole time. They were just hiding the fact that they could speak from the apes to like hide their true intelligence or something like that. So I was kind of almost expecting her to speak at like the end of the movie, and then it never happened. I was like, damn, she just couldn't speak the whole time, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, this kind of gets to where we're going to get to meeting apes because they go skinny dipping, you know, very cool, 4K.
Is that what you would do again? You
flash that butt.
You're on an alien planet, Mike. You take your clothes off immediately. You dive in that water.
We're not sampling the water. We're just jumping in straight up. Yeah. But this again sets up that they get their clothes stolen, so they kind of recover the rags, and then they kind of blend in with the normal human population. Yeah. It's one of those contrivances, like you're saying, Colin, that has to happen.
Yes, that's the other one that bugged me. Thank you for pointing that out.
Well, the humans like stole all their clothes and gear for some reason.
They're just curious little scamps. Like, again, that seems like I don't think that was in the book. Like we need to get them in rags so they could conceivably just be thought of as primitive.
He calls himself Tarzan and her Jane at one point. So I mean, there's a lot of like that going on too.
But also, Taylor does stand out from these humans because they're all like they look like Neanderthals almost. They almost have like brown hair and stuff, and then he's like this dirty blonde, blue-eyed old cowboy. Who definitely doesn't look like any of these savage humans or whatever.
Well, should we say our hyperbaric chamber cracked? That's what's going on with our faces right now. That's why we've got these beards. And Jacob, don't shave by the end, bright eyes, because I'll be upset.
What are you doing? Scraping the hair off your face.
Why have you done that, bright eyes?
Well, in my time, only kids your age wear beards like this. Beards, I don't go in for fads.
Mike, he squeezes in
never trust anyone over 30.
Joke.
He does.
He yells at hippies. Here's the thing about Charlton Heston, because he did those weird Bible movies. And for people who are my dad's age, so like baby boomers, he's too old for them, where it's like his parents liked that he did those epics. But then when my dad's a teenager, when he's like hit rock bottom and he starts doing weird sci-fi movies where he does this shit where he's like, you stupid hippies, I'm shaving myself. Like, I'm not kidding. Omega Man 2 is him going like, you fucking hippies, like out of the way. And he's like nudging people, like knocking stuff over, this whole I don't know who our equivalent would be, because I was trying to think who else could do this role, and I landed on maybe Sean Connery. Maybe Sean Connery could be as abrasive and weird. It would take a more sinister edge. But who is our generation's Charlton Heston that's an old weirdo that like Christopher Walken, who used to do serious stuff and then just kind of became a joke, right?
Well, I'm thinking, I mean, this is kind of the same generation, but Clint Eastwood is a lot like Charlton Heston. Yeah. But they're both kind of the same era.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But he's an old, cranky, conservative guy now, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is like, it takes a certain, the way he's playing this too, it's very like, again, I don't think he's the most qualified to have been the hero, but he's the hero we got, but it's such an iconic role. The character is kind of wild.
He's capital A acting, Mike. Nobody does this anymore. Like, nobody does a monologue like him where he's like, well. Like, you want to watch him describe things he's doing where he's like, you stupid idiot Nova. Well, look at these trees. And he's just kind of like, as he's just like going around, you're like, every word you say is fascinating.
Yeah. Nobody will listen to me except even like the Landon's backstory. Like, he's like, hey, what's your deal, man? Never mind. I'll tell you what your deal is. You don't get these lines. These are my lines now. And I'll tell you.
He's almost fighting the other actors for words.
Yeah, like he's like, I'm telling your whole backstory because fuck you.
Amazing that they could shut him up for a whole middle of the movie.
Incredible. Yeah. And again,
like I said, this plot contrivance of him getting shot in the throat. And then a big part of this movie is like the tension is that he can't speak to like say who he is because of this throat injury.
Right.
And I'm kind of
can't
surprised
speak
that
to
went on
say-
for so long too.
He can't speak to say, "Don't castrate me."
True.
Yeah. He's trying to like steal paper and write on it and stuff. But
which
yeah,
again,
go
he
ahead.
probably could have pointed at the paper and done a pen gesture instead of just aggressively grabbing. But you know, he's Taylor,
He's
baby.
doing his thing, you
He
know.
gets what he wants.
He's a wild card.
So, like let's
He's a
move forward because
firecracker.
I want to point out there's maybe one thing that they write around. So the humans are abducted.
Well,
When
yeah,
we
the big
finally
hunt scene, we lose all of our guys, and I did want to say like, Dodge ironically couldn't dodge a bullet. Landon could not land on his feet, and Stewart just became, I guess, stew, sinking in the primordial soup.
Right.
So
Again,
their
this
names
is kind of
alluded to their death, and Taylor needed to be stitched up, you know, like a
which one's the one that gets lobotomized later?
That's Landon.
That's
Dodge gets shot in the spinal column.
Very...
Good aim from these apes, by the way.
Yeah, they all have very depressing like ends. And again, I'm fascinated that they spent so much time in the beginning of this movie with like just these astronaut characters, only for like none of them to live past like the first 30 minutes, other than Landon, who's like lobotomized and is not like sentient anymore or whatever.
But if this wasn't called Planet of the Apes though, and you're watching this, it's like, oh, it's space exploration movie, and then the hunt scene happens, you're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
dude? Like I'm sure it would be they're building into this security, right?
Yeah, but also you're going into it knowing that the movie is called Planet of the Apes, so you're expecting
that's
to see apes show up at some point.
Thing they've got going for themselves is that the movie is called Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
let's keep waiting. We're gonna give them to you. Yeah.
I want to see these apes, man.
If it was just called Space Explorers, you're like, oh,
Madhouse.
But I think part of this is just the pacing of a movie made in 1968 is a little different than modern movies. But I'm just fascinated that it does have so much going on that I feel like they could have made the plot of this movie and even into 2 movies or something, because it does bounce around so much, and all of a sudden it's a courtroom drama for like 45 minutes, and then it's this last 30 minutes where they're like traveling across America or whatever.
They are discussing evolution, like you said. They're looking at models and going like, well, this is what I think. And you're at a PTA meeting in the South right now.
Of course, they have this
2 people arguing about evolution.
Our antagonist of the movie, Dr. Zaius, who is like the lead scientist and the keeper of the faith, and Taylor like points out, he's like, that seems like a contradiction. I don't know. He's like, no, there's no contradiction there. Faith, there's no faith and science can coexist.
Exactly, and that's like we're still dealing with that in Florida. So timeless kind of debates happening here, obviously, like science, empirical evidence. I think that's what I like too. It's like, man, Dr. Zaius, you don't care about evidence. This guy sucks, But it's like that's kind of the point. So to have him,
the 60s is like that was only a couple like decades after the whole evolution thing kind of first started being a theory discussed, and then it's like. So yeah, it was a big topic in the 60s for sure too.
Yeah, so once he's captured, we kind of meet the main 8 players. Colin, I don't want to derail where you were heading, but
no. Yeah. Please, I was about to say that's Morris Evans playing Dr. Zaius. Now, Jacob, just based off of again, Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius. Did you go into this movie thinking, well, he'll be one of the friendly apes, or he'll be like around for a while, or he'll be a good guy by the end of the movie?
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I knew there was another one named Cornelius or something. I was like, maybe Cornelius is the good one. I didn't know Dr. Zira or her nephew, whatever his name was.
Lucius?
Lucius, yes.
I don't know why I know these. And Julian I'm happy is the guard, just saying.
Yes. Julian is a Buck Cartarian, and then to go back up top just real quick, the big standout actor, Roddy McDowall as Cornelius. Roddy McDowall is going to go on to be in 4 more of these.
Wow.
And the TV show.
Yeah. Kind of becomes a Planet of the Apes guy. He really informs the performances.
Yeah. And when these apes show up, I was like, damn, that makeup is looking good. Obviously they would never do it that way now because it would just be CG or, like the new ones do with Andy Serkis and that, which is like, motion obviously capture. Now we have the technology to do that, but that physical makeup is for the time, like I think it still holds up really well. It looks really good.
Yeah. And Roddy McDowall kind of he's the other actor that I think helped get this off the ground. Like once you had Heston, it's like okay, and then McDowell signs on, and it's like whoa, okay, this is like classy too. It's not just like a B movie shit show. And
Too bad they couldn't get Malcolm McDowell.
Oh geez, yeah, true, huh? Probably could have.
I don't need him.
But they do a really great job. I think all the lead 3 ape actors really do a great job, like emoting, and you really get a sense of their character. You know, Zira, Cornelius, and Dr. Zaius. They all are like really distinct in their personalities, and the performances do come through. It's really great effects.
They're all scientists, and then what's interesting is the technology level of these apes. I was trying to figure that out because they have guns, but they ride on horses. They don't know what flight is. They haven't invented flight yet, so they're like our level of technology. But they're
came from space, the sky, impossible.
What do you mean you came from the outer space?
Flight is a scientific impossibility. Yeah.
But they have guns though, and they have other
semi-automatic guns too.
Yeah,
I'd argue the main weapon they have is nets.
Yeah, nets and dragging.
Catching a lot of people with nets. They have some like surgical instruments and stuff. They're able to do brain surgery.
They're doing brain surgery. I mean, they're just kind of they learn what they do at their own pace.
But as we find out, their culture is kind of stifling the truth about their past. So that kind of maybe goes in there trying to stifle scientific advancement too.
True. But yeah, so Zira is an animal behavioralist. She's trying to study the humans and why they can't speak. Cornelius is an archaeologist who went to the Forbidden Zone and find potential evidence of a pre-ape society that Zaius is skeptical about. And Zaius has a sign-off on all their research. He's kind of the big brother. He shows up every once in a while like, how are those experiments? They're not proving that we're heretics or anything, are they? You know? Like,
it's a great way to put it, Mike.
And he's the one trying to hold everyone back from discovering the truth and advancing as a society. So
yeah, they
follow some sort of large biblical figure known as the Lawgiver, who seemed to be the first ape to not only walk upright, but you would assume speak as well, to sort of set down, these are the tenets of ape shall not kill ape, all this other stuff.
Right, kind of like the
cool world.
Later. Yeah.
Yeah, I know like in the new ones, there's Caesar, which is that one. I know there's a character named Caesar in the original one, so I wonder.
Bright Eyes is the name of Caesar's mother when we get to those films.
There's a million James Franco,
that's right.
Like, oh,
hi, Bright Eyes.
And have you guys have not seen any of the sequels of this film, the 70s ones?
No. I have seen all of them once, and I barely remember them. They all blend together, and I know that it is a cocktail of madness. That I truly cannot wait.
But we do get introduced to this original Caesar Prime, let's call him, like in this series, you know. And I can't remember if that becomes the Lawgiver or not. But we do get in this film, at least, setting up this very interesting world where they do have a religion with the Lawgiver, and just like a little bit of it hints at like a much deeper society, even though we're technically in the village of the apes or the settlement of the apes. Like they do a good job of making it feel like more expansive than it is, even though we're only seeing like 4 or 5 rooms, like the cage.
And what do you guys think? 20 extras at most on screen at any time, right? Fully aped out.
Yeah. At one time, like 20 max. You know what I mean?
They have some big action scenes, like when they're catching the humans, when he escapes later, obviously, and then even at the end when they're on the beach.
Jacob, can you imagine riding a horse when you can barely open your mouth and your eye holes that you can see through are about that big? And you're like fully monkey prosthetic out.
Yeah. Be tough.
I keep thinking of Nope, and I was just thinking of the horse wranglers on this, and I was like, there's a whole story about horse wrangling in Hollywood that I would know much less about.
How many of these horses survive, Mike?
I was wondering how they did the sound recording too, the audio recording, where they're a lot of times when they're speaking lines as the monkeys, I'm wondering if they're ADR'd those lines because it's kind of hard to speak through the prosthetics and the makeup.
And it comes out pretty clear actually. In 60s movies, I mean the sound in early 60s and 70s films is just always rolled dice. So
even though we have this great score, it does feel thin. I would say the mix, right? It's not a ton of low end, and it does feel like at least outdoors there's a ton of ADR. I think from Charlton Heston, But I feel like if they did ADR it for the apes, it might have been with the prosthetic sound because it does still feel like it's slightly muffled. So like even if they did ADR it, I appreciate if they did the prosthetics.
Well, I like when when the apes kiss. When
there's
Zira and Cornelius do their little kisses.
They're a couple, right? They're a scientist couple. Yeah. They don't want to get their careers sidetracked or be called heretics, so they're trying to tread lightly, but they're fascinated by bright eyes, as Zira names
Bright
Charlton
eyes.
Heston while he can't speak. She gives him a gift and says, "Hey, here's that female you keep staring at.
Put her in his cage. Maybe
Give
they'll
him a
mate."
treat."
The Rod Serling draft made it text that there were a romantic relationship between the Taylor and Zira,
Sure.
but
Nova. Oh, Zira?
you Zira. So you
Wow.
can kind of feel
Mark
a
Wahlberg.
little bit of that stay, but it is interesting that instead he's like, "Let me have a kiss." And you're
Well,
like,
basically,
no.
Well, that line.
yeah, she's
Okay,
like,
but
you're so ugly though.
so
Yeah,
damned ugly.
just
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
ugly. But it's so. I mean, this movie is so quotable. It's out of this world insane, but just so
Yeah.
damn ugly.
And then she blushes a little bit because Charlton Heston's
Yeah.
just such
She
a
does like
manly
it,
man,
So
you know?
good.
She kind of like
God.
But he does have that one scene where he's basically just saying like, "Yeah, I got to be with Nova because she's like the only woman around here that like I find fuckable. So, yep, please put her in my cage."
it. Yeah, right. Oh man, and
he's
he
really
names her
trying to
Nova.
repopulate the human society, you know.
In the book,
Yep.
he does say that eventually the apes looked like women to me.
Wow. Damn. Okay, French people, let's go.
Yeah, French
I-
people. I mean, come on.
You
Yeah.
know what? This is another reason why I'm excited to get to the
Desert
Tim
Island
Burton
syndrome.
one because I haven't seen it in a long time, but I'm pretty sure there's like
Mm-hmm.
Mark Wahlberg and the Helena Bonham Carter who plays an
I
ape.
think it goes a little heavier.
There's
yeah.
like a romantic interest
I think she's
subplot
playing
there.
the Zira, but I haven't seen it in a long
It's
time.
probably the only
Right.
reason that movie, like Tim Burton's interested in doing that movie. He's like, you mean a
With the
normal
ape and
guy
the
will
human.
it's like a weirdo. It's
weird-
And
almost
that
like
ape
he's
will
like-
be played by my wife, Helena Bonham
That's like
Carter.
early Guillermo del Toro stuff, Jacob. That's like Shape of Water, Shape of Monkey.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. I was watching some behind the scenes from Planet of the Apes, and it was like filmed now, like a retrospective, and they had Guillermo del Toro talking about how he liked this movie. If he
Of
did one of these,
course.
wow.
That would
It
be
would be
awesome,
interesting.
dude. That's cool.
I'm just
But so
surprised that Tim
Taylor's
Burton.
slowly healing the whole. Well, you go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'm surprised that he cast Mark Wahlberg instead of Johnny Depp in that role.
Oh, I think he probably had to.
Probably
Yeah.
tried.
We'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
But so Taylor's, he's
I'm
being
excited.
too aggressive. He's healing, and his neck eventually does heal. He does a jailbreak when he's about to get castrated because Julian is like, if only you knew what they were going to do to you. They're talking about castrating him. He's like, oh shit, I got to get out of here.
Right.
And then that's when
so
we get our
what-
famous line.
Yes, and yes, let's hit that in a second. What I was going to say about Julian, real quick, what I mentioned earlier about kind of covering up one of the plot contrivances
Mhm.
is the taking their clothes or whatever and making them look like other people. You kind of understand when they get to the cages and you meet the gorilla handlers, and that Julius is like, like, let me walk you through the insane asylum. Get back, and you see how savage all the humans are. That if Taylor was acting rowdy and he couldn't talk, like, you do kind of see him just being like, yeah, all these fucking weird, like, little animals kind of like, skittering at the cage. It's like, it'd be
Yeah.
like having a bunch of deer around. You're like, get the, like, get out of here.
This
Well,
one
they
might
treat.
look slightly more inquisitive. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I guess you'd be
I wouldn't-
gesturing if you were Taylor. You'd be like,
No, he's
Pen.
too wild.
yeah.
And these apes, they treat them obviously like humans would treat animals in a if they're kind of mean humans. And we see parallels. I'm excited for this new one, the James Franco one, where you have Draco Malfoy treating the apes badly,
Poorly.
and sort of the
Say it.
parallels.
Say the line, Jacob. Say it right now, because we get it right here.
Which one?
Get your damn.
That's right.
Pause.
And again, I was so surprised for that to happen at this moment because I've been waiting for his throat to heal. I'm like, as soon as this guy can fucking talk, he's gonna bust out that famous line probably. And then it's at the conclusion of this big jailbreak where he's
Mhm.
running around this ape village. Eventually, they catch him again, and that's when he speaks for the first time.
Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape. He
Damn
speaks.
dirty ape.
And there's good stuff in the jailbreak too, where he sneaks through the church and the little ape child. It's like, look,
Yeah.
it's a man.
It's
and like
him.
everyone's getting
It's a
scared of
human.
seeing a
Yeah.
human run around. That's fun.
Yeah, it's
bits.
cool to see a kid in the
Yeah.
fucking makeup, Mike. It's
Mhm.
awesome.
And it's real the contrivance thing. Getting shot in the throat. It's like, it has to happen because in the book they're speaking French, and there's this whole I need to learn ape. So to do it with this English, just shoot him in the neck. Whatever.
Yeah, they write around that. That's interesting.
You do what you got to do. But he gets caught. And now we get into the courtroom drama of like, oh shit. Well, we know you can talk, so it'll be a big scene if we just unalive you
Yeah.
accidentally. Like now we have to have a trial.
It's like- Do you remember when the plot of Ted 2, the Seth MacFarlane movie, was Ted goes to court to prove he has a soul? And you're like, okay.
Right.
Like, this is like, is Taylor, like, what divine spark is in you that no ape has? Or like, whatever Dr. Zaya says. And you're like, what?
Yeah, it's it's Data. Is Data human? Does he have a soul, right?
Yeah.
But we're
Again.
getting like a lot of logical fallacies from the state. Like, if he's so intelligent, then tell us the first law from the Lawgiver. And he's like, I don't know your
Right.
culture.
I don't
Like,
know
well,
your
fuck you. Like, you're stupid.
Scriptures.
It's like a parrot.
Yeah.
He's, this is a trick. It's like a parlor trick. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, he's like saying your name.
Yeah.
like
And of course,
responding.
Dr. Zaius, his theory, he knows that like obviously he's some kind of mutant that comes from the Forbidden Zone, and he's the question is he the missing link between our past ancestors possibly being man and then evolving into these apes? He's the missing link somehow.
That's so wild.
Which again is a parallels to topics in the real world. So
Yeah, but I really enjoyed this trial. I enjoyed like he makes that paper airplane. It's a toy. It floats on the air. And then like when I saw as a child Dr. Zaius pick up the airplane and then just crush it, like not even attempt it, I'm like,
yeah,
son of a bitch, you son of
know.
the truth. And even when he's
Trying
in
to
that
cover it.
cage
Just a close-up
outside, he's
of
like
it.
writing in the dirt, right?
Yeah.
Trying to say like, oh, I can write. And then Dr. Zaius sees
Takes
that
it
writing.
away.
He's like, oh, let me just scribble
Yep.
over this.
Where do you
Very well
say
done.
you're from? I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. You say you're from a fort. Even in your lies, you tell truce.
Yeah.
Tell me where your nest is, Bright Eyes.
Must be others like you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
He thinks exactly, like you guys said, the missing link. There must be a tribe in the Forbidden Zone of humans that can kind of talk. And he knows, okay, if we stop that, we can keep our society together because this planet is not made for two dominant species. And he's kind of right about that.
True.
Well, yeah, when he's talking to Taylor later and he's like, look, I know you're kind, you're violent, you're the only species that fights each other because you want to and all this stuff. And Taylor's like, you know what, you kind of have some points. Like, that's how I feel about humans too. That's kind of why I left Earth.
too.
Like these humans out here, they eat all their crops and then they come and eat our crops because they ate all their own food and they're causing trouble for everybody. These damn humans,
Humans are a pestilence that must be eradicated.
And I mean, I agree that we're not great for the planet. I don't know about eradication. I'm a human, but we're a problem sometimes as a species, I think, to the ecology, the planet and stuff,
Yeah, it's basically the argument that like eco-terrorists have, like humans are like the virus of this planet, that if they were exterminated, then the Earth could flourish.
Yeah, we need to thrive again.
Taylor's like, I'm going to do the ultimate eco-terrorism and propagate humanity on another planet. But I liked all the trial stuff, and we get like the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil little Easter egg, which I loved.
Supposedly Charlton Heston's idea, which is very interesting.
I did not know that.
He was like, you know what they should do? And it's like, Charlton, shut up.
When did that first? When was that even first a thing? Like,
I know where, and it might come up in a quiz.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I like that. I was gonna say, I have no idea. That's cool.
The Lawgiver, gifted me with some trivia questions that we'll get into later once we get there.
Well, I'm excited for that.
They're all state sponsored and cleared, so don't worry. We won't be heretics at the end of it.
That's
You're
good.
A madman, Mike. You're a madman.
Madman.
But put you on trial for heresy.
That's right. So he basically says, look, man, let him go to the Forbidden Zone and like try to prove you're wrong, man. And he still says, yeah, fuck you, but they do another jailbreak and then they go to the Forbidden Zone.
He says this is where he goes to Dr. Zaius' room and they're kind of like sitting and having a little conversation together, and he says, like, here's what's gonna happen. Before it was gelding, like before, it's like literally what that is you burn everything off genital wise. That's not it. This time he's like, we're gonna castrate you,
fucking lobotomize you too.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking cut your balls off, and then guess what?
Mess with your brain,
tinker around with your brain. You will be stuck in sort of a living death. Never
living hell. Yeah.
Again, you're watching this movie, Jacob. Is this like the bleakest film you have ever seen in your life?
And at the same time, Charlton Heston is like, doesn't seem that worried about it. He's like, I'll probably escape out of here.
I've fought a lot of monkeys already, and I'm pretty wily.
I'm pretty strong, and if I get a hold of a gun, watch out.
Yeah. Well, then he does say, like, I had other people with me. Like, let me talk to one of them, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they're smart. And
Yeah.
then he sees
And
Landon,
this
and that's
is
like
where,
a big,
yes,
That's
know,
the fucked up part when
shock
I'm like,
moment.
okay, Landon's here. Turn around, big
Yeah.
scar on his head. I'm like, oh
They
shit.
lobotomized
You-
him.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
assholes! He just starts saying that. He's like, "Oh, you had to mess with his brain." Like he's
You
just like
cut
starts
him.
saying what it is.
You
It's like,
cut him. Yeah.
Taylor, shut up! Stop!
And we
Yeah.
find Dodge in the museum now. You know, it's like
That
a,
was,
Yes.
oh, that was fucked up
Yes,
too.
Wild.
that's.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
they plasticized him, like they mummified him. Like
Yeah, well, it's like
Yeah.
in real museums, they do take like dead animals and like, stuff them and stuff and put them in
Yeah,
exhibits. So it's
I
like the
guess
same
you're
thing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just seeing those two shots, like Dutch is kind of like they focus on it, but it's like a quick moment in the escape. But just it shows
Yeah.
like the sinister levels that the society goes and how they treat humans, or
This
especially
is,
like a dangerous threat.
Yeah, very much this movie is like an animal rights movie where it's like, think
Yeah.
about this is exactly how we treat animals and this is how they're treating humans and you wouldn't like it very much, would you?
No, it's
I'm
animal
like,
rights.
no, I
and
wouldn't. You got a
then
point there.
state
No,
power.
stop yelling at me.
Yeah. So we do get another jailbreak though, and we go to the archaeological site that we've heard so much about that Cornelius has not been allowed to go there, and that's where we kind of really started to put the pieces together of what's really going on.
It's
That's
kind of
right.
like a mall, or it's kind of like a broken museum or something, I guess, that exploded or something, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
There's like differing levels to it though. So he's like, okay, so at this
Yeah.
level, I found like a smart ape, like whatever, and then we start finding human artifacts, and there's a baby doll.
Here's
Yeah.
well, my daughter has human dolls. They mama. Oh.
Why would an ape make a human doll that could speak, Dr. Zayas?
He's
Yeah.
also like, look at these. I got eyeglasses. I've got
Yeah.
fucking a heart
Yeah.
transplant
What do you have to
thing.
say to that baby doll? It's like it is
Yeah.
funny that the things that he's like, huh?
Yeah.
That's the smoking gun is the baby
Gotcha.
doll.
Yeah.
Gotcha, baby doll.
Then of course Dr. Zayas is like, we got to blow up these caves, hide the evidence.
Okay,
Apes should never know the truth.
All the ape military. Fuck this shit. Now, fucking Charlton Heston gets one of these guns. We put him out
Mhm.
earlier. They're dope. Apes have invented a gun that's like good for their big hands. That's kind of like short and stout. It's really cool. And he's
Yeah.
like, to call everybody off, and Dr. Zayas is like, oh, hey, everybody, like, give it up. And, like, Taylor is like, I will blow your brains out. Like, there's
Yep.
like not even a question for a minute that he will kill Dr. Zayas.
I like how smart he is too. Smart, where he's like hiding up against the rock, and then he sees, Cornelius and
the
Zero.
sniper.
Yeah, he's held down by a
Yeah.
sniper. Zero and Cornelius are like, "You gonna be all right?" And he's like, "Check this out. Oh, help me, I'm injured." And that's what gets Zayas to come out.
That's right.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a
But he
thinking
does, yeah,
animal.
as soon as he gets his hands on his gun, he's like, all right, I'm holding on to this. And they're like, it's going to be okay. I'm in charge of this thing. And he's like, no, I'm in charge of myself. And I'm holding
Now
on
I
to this
got
gun.
guns.
Hey, I don't know if you guys know, I'm Charlton Heston. These things, I love these.
You see, thematically, the first time Taylor
Yeah.
has autonomy is when he has a gun.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Message: you need a gun.
It's a very libertarian movie of like, don't put restrictions on me. Let me exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
It's interesting. Like Charlton Heston, his political views as a person, like obviously people know that he
Right.
was big into the NRA and stuff, but early in his career, like around this time in the 60s and stuff, he was very pro civil rights before a lot of
Right,
people
yeah.
were, and he's very
Mhm.
outspoken about it. So he has a mixture
March.
of political views where he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
civil rights, I love guns, basically, libertarian, where he's like,
He's
people should have freedom
probably-
to do what they want.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good word for him. He's probably most famous for our generation, unfortunately, for the segment in Bowling for Columbine.
Yeah,
You
that's
guys
what I
remember
know
that?
him from.
Where he has, I believe now they've noted, dementia was slipping in, and obviously we will talk about something future that he does for Planet of the Apes when we get to that movie. And he was
Mhm.
still working, but I think was mentally was not at the highest capacity, unfortunately.
Right.
By that
No.
point. So it is a bummer.
Yeah, and you can question like Michael Moore's like documentary
Why would you
techniques and
do
stuff.
that?
But obviously
Right,
he
right.
was very
What's
pro
happening?
gun rights and was a spokesman for the NRA for a long time and stuff, but did end up getting like dementia later in life. So.
The famous quote, "You can take it from my cold dead finger," or my cold
Right.
dead
Yeah.
hands, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that wasn't in this movie, shockingly. That line would have fit perfectly.
No.
Hand over the
No,
gun,
it
Bright Eyes.
would've.
You could take it from my cold dead hand.
Yeah, guess what?
Yeah.
Zaius, yeah.
Bright Eyes, no.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, he captures Dr. Zaius, ties him up, and he's like, all right, I'm getting out of here with a horse. I'm taking my woman.
Give me 50
Nova.
bullets.
He turns
Yeah.
out like Nova. Here's what I'm amazed by. At this point, he has not said to Cornelius like, "I need a shirt. I need one of your weird leather." He's
I need
basically
50
like,
ammunition, my
Nova.
woman, and my
He
horse.
he says, "I need 50. I need 50 bullets." That's so funny that he specifically says, "You know why that is? Because if somebody comes after me, I'm gonna kill 50 of you fucking apes."
I counted the extras. He only had 50 of you.
Yeah, guess what? I can wipe this whole planet out.
This helmet's
Yeah, but
small.
he grabs Nova, does the kiss to Zira. I mean, it is fucking incredible. Zira and Cornelius. I mean, Jacob again. You know, not to talk about the features of these movies, but they are set up as our primate protagonists, you could say.
Yeah.
So what did you think of these characters, given that this is the last scene that you see them in? And that Dr. Zaius is like, he doesn't know what he's going to, and he's like screaming off at like
Yeah.
as he leaves, like, "You're crazy!"
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a very downer ending because they're like, oh yes, we've proven we won't be tried for heresy and treason because we've proven
We're
course,
right.
your theories.
And
then right
the
after
one thing, yeah.
he leaves, and then like, okay, blow up these caves, and guess what? We are trying you for treason because we're hiding the evidence, and that's the last we see of him. So who knows what's going to happen to him? But it seems they're
He
about
really
to be
doesn't
tried.
help Zero and Cornelius at all. Like they do
No, he's
show
like, all right,
the evidence, but the
goodbye.
state. Yeah. Which is
Good
crazy.
luck with all that ape stuff.
I have 50 bullets. Bang, bang, bang.
Good luck with the
You're like,
heresy.
Taylor, we're good. They're trying us now. Taylor, help. We saved you. Taylor.
You
Yeah,
have
they're
your
like,
balls still.
where are you going
Come
to go?
on.
He's like, oh, I'll just follow the shoreline and see what happens.
Mhm.
It's true.
But it is a down. Yeah,
Follow
just give me
the
a bullet and a
shoreline.
girl and a horse. That's all a cowboy really needs, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. He's just going to
Now-
go repopulate the human society with him and Nova.
9 months
Now,
at a time.
describe these shots, Jacob, because
Mhm.
I think the way that it's constructed, you're seeing a
Yeah.
lot of backlit, interesting things as he's approaching. You're not really positive what's going on, right?
Right. And he sees some wreckage of stuff. So he's going along the beach. Sees some kind of
Do-do-do.
wreckage.
Me and Nova.
Cuts. You see like the back of a statue with like a crown on it or something. You're like, what the heck is that? It zooms in, and I did love that shot where it like zooms in between the crown. You just see him. He's like, his mind is blown. Damn it all to hell! You blew it up.
You made it.
Would you guys understand what was happening? I guess I would have assumed I was in the future the whole time, but then at a certain point, because everybody was
Well, again,
speaking
think about-
English.
Yeah. But think about the real world implications, like the 60s, the height of the Cold War. You
Mhm.
know, we were worried about like nuclear annihilation of just blowing
Right.
up the whole world. So it's
Sure.
like that was a big fear at the time.
That's true.
And
You're
we
right.
talked about Fallout last week. I mean, that kind of ties in too.
Again,
does,
a
it
lot
really
of
does.
bomb stuff happening. We got
Yeah.
Godzilla's and Fallout and Oppenheimer. Now this, like, that's what is implied, right? We had another nuclear war, and like that's
Yeah,
when
we
blew
just-
it up.
we
you
blew
maniacs.
ourselves
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
We annihilated ourselves by trying to fight our neighbors.
Yep.
The twist of this film franchise is, and it's so incredible, is it's not Star Trek, it's Mad Max. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
secretly a post-apocalyptic movie,
Mhm.
which has now been done a couple times, like that show, The 100 on the CW, which I watched the first couple seasons of, where it's like post-apocalyptic, but you don't know. You think they're on an alien planet, but then it's like, oh, actually, this is Earth, but we have like, you know, we went through nuclear winter. And now it's like a pre-technological society. Also, like Horizon Zero Dawn, the video game, is a lot of-
Right,
actually,
yeah,
that's the big
yeah.
twist of that.
Planet of the Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah,
No, that's like the famous scene. You know, it's like, okay, mankind did it to themselves, and again, that's like the parable, and that's like the Twilight Zone moment. Like an hour and 48 minutes to have this one shot. You know,
literally
It's
the
like,
last
oh,
shot of the
shit.
movie.
Yeah.
And it just kind
Did
of
you-
slowly pans out as he's like kneeling on the sand, like just
Yeah.
so exasperated. and Nova's there, like she doesn't understand the implications of what he's doing either. She's
You
like,
get one
fuck is
reaction
this?
from her, like,
Yeah.
he seems upset. But okay. At least we
But
have
again, I
50
thought
bullets.
she was hiding her ability to speak this whole time because there's earlier scenes where she's like, "No, don't speak, don't speak."
Right.
I'm like, these humans can secretly speak. I know it.
He's screaming,
yeah.
and the last line is her saying, "It's the Statue of Liberty."
Yeah.
How'd
York.
she know that's what it's called?
Lady Liberty.
But I'm interested to see, these sequels, where they go from here. I know Charlton Heston. I think he's in the next one a little bit, but he's not like the main character, right? And he's not the main. He's
Interesting.
not any of the sequels after that. So I'm excited to see where this
I
story
live in the
goes.
Statue of Liberty now. I live at the top with Nova. She's my girlfriend, and we kiss, and I say, "Hello, monkeys. How are you?"
We trade the copper from the statue with the apes,
Yeah.
That's
Um,
right.
It didn't
That
geld
would
me.
be a good
That's
place
the
to
main
live.
part.
Yeah.
In the
That's a
apocalypse,
Fallout
would be
type
great.
base. Yeah, the Crown,
Yeah.
like where they fought Magneto at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The issue is, you get in there, you find a Magneto, Mike. That's the problem.
Oh, it's
That's
better than
right.
finding a toad, I suppose. Or you'd find a beast, maybe. But yeah, I mean that's the Planet of the Apes. Like what is human rights?
Classic
What are
movie.
rights? What's the state and religion power over things? What is censorship and hiding the truth? Like there's a lot of things happening. It's kind of a neat little movie.
It's
Yeah,
wild.
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, I think now is probably a good time. I was gonna say, let me ask you something, but how about I ask you several somethings and get into our new segment, which is now to be known as "You Quizzed It Up, You Maniacs. You Quizzed It All to Hell."
Wow.
Planet of the Apes quiz right after this.
Let's do it.
But yeah,
This
Taylor's big
best music.
rebuttal to Flight is Impossible is like, you ever see a paper airplane?
But he blows
I'd
their
just be
minds.
like,
They've
have you
never-
seen birds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no birds in this? What do you guys eat?
That's what I'm saying. They have these advanced guns, but they ride horses, and they've never heard of flight. So
What do
they
monkeys
put all their
eat?
energy into designing guns.
Is that one of your questions, Mike? What do monkeys
No,
eat?
it should have been. Yeah.
Are
we're
they
back.
vegetarians?
I believe gorillas are omnivorous, but mostly they're eating vegetables. Like they will eat meat. I think
Okay.
chimpanzees are omnivorous too. I think they eat meat sometimes. Because they have
We
canine
see,
teeth for a reason.
They don't just eat these things called bananas. That's not
Well, I think
true.
they are omnivores like humans, but
Yeah,
in
they have
this
canine
movie,
teeth.
obviously, we see when they first meet the humans, like, oh, they're vegetarian. You see, they're eating these melons or whatever.
Mm.
But
so I
they're
guess the
not.
human-
I mean, there's
Yeah.
you weren't at all expecting a third act twist of like getting that meat grinder, Jacob. Like they eat these.
Well, it's interesting when they're
random
catching all
things.
those humans. Some, they kill some of them. They've got them like strung up and stuff, and then they capture other ones for their zoos and
Oh, and they're taking the
scientific-
photos too. Like that scene, that hunting scene
Yeah.
is really iconic.
Yeah.
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 Well,
I don't
some
like
of them are
that.
Trophy
state
hunting.
sponsored too, because some of those are going to the science experiment. Like Zira needs those apes,
Right.
right?
Sorry, real quick. And then because we're back, we're going to jump into Mike's incredible quiz. We're excited here. The state sponsor just made me think. Zira's young nephew who comes for the ruse, and it's like, yeah, these rich fat cats are going to put this human in like a zoo and like charge people to see him and stuff. You're like, what is
Yeah.
this little hippie rant in the moment? It's exactly like Charlton Heston going like, of course I got to shave my face. I'm not like you fucking young
But
bloods.
then he tells them, don't trust anybody over 30. Like, hell
60s
yeah.
politics. It's incredible.
So good. You beatnik monkeys.
There is like a sci-fi trope of like being captured by aliens and put in an alien zoo, right? And I was thinking like that's not a bad way to live. Like you probably live in relative comfort and stuff. They provide you food and stuff like that.
You see,
So
my
if you're gonna
species
be
requires
captured by
sushi
aliens-
every day. They must have it. Like,
Yeah.
Right. But if
And
you're
a
going to be
PlayStation
captured by
5.
aliens, that's probably the best situation you could hope for.
honestly, yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah,
know?
I just don't think I could be captured by something that was like as tall as me. You know what I mean? Like even if there was like a ton of them, I still feel like
What if
like
they
the
have nets, though?
xenomorph
You
is
get
like
caught in their
the
nets.
alien. No, but like Jacob, I feel like I could get away from the net. I feel like I could like roll or like throw
Well,
it.
that's
as
what
well.
that's what Taylor thought, but then he
Yeah.
got shot in the throat, and I think that's the
And,
main reason.
and he's
why.
an astronaut. He's the
Yeah.
best of the best. He's
Oh, yeah.
78 years old. We sent him into space.
He's got the right
Yeah.
stuff, I think.
He smokes a
He's
million
got the right
stogies
stuff.
a day while sitting in his spaceship.
Still got it. He literally is like, hey, how much water do we have? 8 ounces. You want some? Nah. And then he pulls out his cigar. I don't need water. I just need a
No,
smoke.
let me just dry out a little.
We're
more.
walking 30 miles today. Let me light this cigar, you know?
God, I'm tired.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
let's
boy.
jump into it before we get to
Please.
final thoughts.
Let's do it.
You quiz it up, you maniacs. Quiz you all to
Wow.
hell.
Could not be more excited.
Mike, for the these Ape series, Mike is going to be handling the quiz duties, which I'm very excited for.
Mm-hmm.
To pass on the quiz duties to you for this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I have
Dr.
not read.
Quizzes.
I've read very little about this movie, so I'm going in clean, trying to guess these answers here.
Yeah, and I'm following kind of the format true and false. There's one multiple choice kind of bonus question, but one is true, two is false. I'll try to trick you. Yeah, Jacob's their first time getting to play.
Wow.
So yeah,
exciting.
let's jump right into it, you know.
Or we do one true, two false.
One true, two false. Correct. And if one of you can keep score, because I'm questioneering, that would be wonderful. But just let me know when you're ready and we'll get this thing going.
I'm excited for this, Doug.
Yeah. I put in a surprisingly difficult to find trivia because so much of this is known. So we'll see how we do. But y'all ready?
And you watched a little doc, you said?
It was an hour and a half, so I didn't finish it. And technically none of the trivia came from that documentary. I just wanted to learn more about how these movies were made because I love them. But I guess number one, Jacob, you good?
Yeah.
All right. So question number one, true, false. The band Bright Eyes frontman Conor Oberst is known to be a fan of this movie and named the band after the nickname given to Taylor by Dr. Zira. True or false?
Interesting.
Well, the way you say it, I'm thinking it's some kind of trick where I think it's true, but it's actually false.
I mean, humans see, human do, but lock it in and count down and do your reveal.
I'm locked in.
All right. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
True?
2 trues. Wow. Well, guess what? It was false.
What?
I
So you
made it
didn't
up.
get the name from this movie? Because I was
No.
thinking he must have, that must be a reference to this movie.
Right,
I
but
hadn't thought of the band Bright Eyes in so long that you guys saying that, I was like, of course.
of course it had to be. I thought so too, but it's just a rumor. It's just like a general term of endearment, and we hear it in the song "Total Eclipse of the Heart." Turn around, Bright Eyes.
Turn around,
right.
Bright Eyes.
So
Well,
it's
that's
not
about-
even named after that either. It's just a
No, it
coincidence.
is. That turn around,
That's
turn around,
amazing.
Taylor. You've got to yell at this monkey. Turn around, Taylor. You called that
Yeah.
woman breeding stock. You said you were going to populate a planet with it. What?
Every now and then I get shot in the throat and can't sign language with them.
Yeah, and I can't talk.
Incredible.
Oh, you got
so
us there. I was
false.
thinking that in my head, I was like, this is probably a trick, but it's got to be
Bright
true.
Eyes.
That's
Right.
amazing, though.
Right. Well, here's the
I
number
named my
2 then.
son Bright Eyes.
Oh, geez. I'm just gonna name him Taylor. All right. Number 2. Taylor was originally intended to have, as we said, had a relationship with Nova, and she would be pregnant by the end of the film, at which point Taylor would be killed by a sniper, leaving Nova to ride into the Forbidden Zone with their unborn son. But Charlton Heston rejected this because he wanted to survive to the end of the movie. True or false?
Wild that there is a sniper in the movie. So, all right. Interesting.
I'm locked in.
I am locked in. Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
False.
False
I
and
say
a true.
true.
So, I tricked you a little bit. It is false, but only because it was a Fox executive who said, maybe we don't put that in because the perceived intelligence of the humans on this planet, it might not be a great thing to have Charlton
good.
Heston impregnating her.
Smart.
So that was cut due to executives. But there was a
But the
draft
pregnancy
where-
part was true, though.
in the original draft, but that was not, it's not text in this cut of the film.
Rod Serling, you fucking weirdo.
Right. So,
They only put the Statue of Liberty stuff in? Yep,
so
that's
even in my
right,
lies,
Rod.
I tell truths just like Taylor, but,
Yeah.
so that's 1 point, Colin. Um,
I just thought
So-
it was true that the pregnancy stuff would be true from an earlier draft.
See, that's what I use to hook you, you know?
Yeah,
you
curveball,
tricked
my
me.
friend.
I feel
Right.
tricked.
I mean, I learned from
Like-
the best.
like
a lot of
Taylor.
pirate quizzes.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3. Makeup artist John Chambers not only helped get the film greenlit after extensive makeup tests, but also was responsible for another sci-fi connection in Star Trek by creating Spock's ears in the original series a few years earlier. True or false?
Okay.
You locked in?
Locked in.
I am locked in.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
True.
True and
I say false.
All right, well, Colin, it's true. That's 2 in a row
What?
for Colin.
I thought you were trying to trick me again.
Nope. John Chambers did Spock's ears.
That's crazy.
For the original series.
Now I knew
made
that
this up.
going into this because I am a fan of John Chambers' work. Mike, is that the only trivia question about him? Can I tell another fact about him?
Let me check. There's one effect. You could just. I don't think I'm at super risk. Go ahead and share something about John Chambers. Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of the cool thing about. I'll keep it loaded until the end then, just in case.
We'll save that for the end.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Copy that. All right. Well, this is another kind of Star Trek related trivia question then. So number 4, Leonard Nimoy, due to his involvement with John Chambers, he was offered the role of Taylor because in the book it's more scientific approach to problem solving. It thought he would bring a scholarly kind of air to the Taylor character as opposed to Charlton Heston. True or false?
Okay. All right, locked in.
Locked in.
3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'm gonna say false.
Correct. I made it up, you maniacs.
Wow.
Good
See,
job.
you can't trick me that much.
If you said Dr. Zaius, that hobgoblin-looking face is a monkey, I would have bought that immediately.
Dang, that actually would have been good casting.
I do know one thing about, and maybe I shouldn't reveal it because it might be in your quiz as well. Another casting thing.
Oh, yeah, no, save. There's some more tricks.
Okay,
maybe.
I'll leave it for the end in case. Yeah.
So we're at 2 for Colin and 1 for Jacob. No, 3 for Colin, 1 for Jacob.
3 for Colin, 1 for me.
All right. Well, number 5. I have, 10-ish total. This is an easy one. The original concept was for all the female humans living on the planet of the apes to appear topless. True or false?
In my dreams.
Now, they don't do porn parodies anymore, but what would this one be? I guess Planet of the Gapes, and it sucks, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, if this was made in the 60s, I could see this being like one of the, like a Grindhouse type movie where where it's like a rated X and they show it at like those, porn theaters or whatever.
When did Barbarella come out? A porno sci-fi,
basically,
starring real actors. So I'm locked in.
All right. You locked in, Jacob?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Reveal.
I'm going false. I gotta go false on that.
Jacob's correct. It was true. That was supposed to be the thing.
This movie could have been better. Hold on. This could have been.
It was probably a selling point of getting it funded, where they're like, "Look, you don't understand. We're gonna have a bunch of topless women, and people are gonna want to come see that."
Girls do like savages, and by savages I mean beautiful '70s blown out hair, completely naked,
topless.
I mean, again, there's already some weird gender stuff in here with the way that Taylor talks about women, where he's like, "Yeah, we brought along this one woman just to repopulate the Earth, basically, but she died. So I guess you're my next best option here."
In the trial, is he completely naked? Is he just covering his?
They
junk?
do. They take his clothes off because they're like, "We told you to clean the animal."
They look at his entire body, right?
Yeah.
That's
so
I mean, you see.
Can you imagine if his dick was out?
You do see his bare ass when they run into the water when they're skinny dipping.
No, I saw this in.
If Charlton Heston's long balls were just out in that whole court scene as he was making a paper airplane, Mike.
Oh yeah, fold this plane. Yes. Oh my gosh. Look at the landing gear on that guy.
Oh my god.
Obviously this was the plan, but Fox censors were like, "Yo, dog, we want to release this to a lot of people." But just because the topless was censored, we did get a couple butts and maybe a few flashes of dick sneaking through the cracks of the final edit.
I think there's.
That's right. I was
in
4K. Surprised by the bare asses in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah, they definitely should have made an X-rated cut and released that to the late night theaters and had like a regular cut. And
only in
cut.
Italy.
The director's cut.
Apes.
Yeah.
So there you go. They thought of it. They wanted to do it.
It's that they're all topless except Charlton Heston only has a mustache instead of the beard the whole time, and the cigar like never leaves his mouth.
He has a smoking jacket. That's it. It's always open though.
Yeah, you're like, what is this?
Oh man. So
so good.
Could have been better. Number 6. Time to get a little bit more serious. In 1968, the makeup and effects for Planet of the Apes were the first makeup and effects team to receive an Oscar Academy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Makeup before it was created as a permanent award in 1981. True or false?
I may already know this. Locked in.
All right. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
True.
True. Well, guess what? It's false. It was the second film to ever get recognized for makeup after
Oh.
1974's Seven Faces of Dr. Lao. William J.
Tricked
Tuttle's
us.
makeup. Seven Faces of Dr.
Oh.
Lao, 1984.
Have you guys ever seen that? I've never even
No,
heard
and
of that.
I'm just assuming it holds up. You know.
Sure.
That's cool.
It's got
I wonder
I don't
what do you think they're animals? Like what makeup could be more complicated than this crazy
Well, it's
movie?
called the Seven Faces of Dr. Lao, so I assume it's like some guy
He's
who's
got
got
seven
like a,
faces.
yeah, seven at the same time. It's a real Masters of Disguise situation, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Turtle.
Yeah, he's probably a turtle in one scene. Turtle.
But then it did become an official standardized award in 1981. So this trivia question is kind of tangentially related to the Planet of the Apes. But what film was the first to officially receive Best Makeup and Hairstyling Academy Award in 1981? This is a multiple choice.
1981.
So it's going to be hard to dictate. So I'll just say the answers, and you guys can say, you know, what you
Yeah,
think.
buzz in first if you got it, Jacob.
Okay.
But I'll say all four at least. So number one, Amadeus with Paul LeBlanc and Dick Smith's work. B, American Werewolf in London, Rick Baker. C, The Fly, Chris Walla and Stephen Duplass. And D, Harry and the Hendersons, Rick Baker. What was the first film to win the Oscar?
I would say B, American Werewolf in London.
Colin, what do you think?
I'm gonna go A and say Amadeus.
Rock Me Amadeus. It was B, American Werewolf in London.
Ah, there we go. Wow.
And Rick
Wow.
Baker was
Rick Baker.
inspired to get into the makeup craft because of Planet of the Apes. He saw that work, was like, damn, you know what?
Wow.
That's sick.
I mean, it's
There
the
you go.
greatest.
And that movie does have great makeup, you know. Of
It's-
course.
And does-
great
I-
transformation
favorites.
scenes.
Am I wrong? Does Rick Baker end up doing the Tim Burton?
You know
well,
what?
again, we'll talk about
We'll
it. I think
find
I
out.
think he does. I think he
I was
Yeah.
tempted to say The Fly too, because I know Cronenberg
Yeah.
at the time had some pretty crazy things going on in those 80s. there.
Amadeus.
Mhm.
What makeup is even? I guess powdered
Just
wigs.
old guy makeup, because I think
Yeah.
Well, the
those
hair
scenes
is
are,
really
old as
carrying
well.
more
Oh,
than the
yeah.
makeup.
But they are aged. You're right, Jacob.
Yeah.
He does play an old version.
Yeah.
So Jacob gets a point for the American Werewolf in London. Where are we
Yeah.
at
3-3.
now?
Is it tied up?
Oh,
now?
we're tied up. We're tied up.
All right, well, I have an odd number of questions remaining, so we should be okay.
Perfect.
All right, so next question, 7. In order to maintain the strict sense of ape hierarchy in the society, the apes and human actors were ordered to segregate themselves during meals and break times on set.
Mm,
True or false?
okay.
And did we mention there's really the hierarchy in the movie is there's 3 types. There's chimpanzees,
Orangutans.
there's orangutans, and gorillas. Gorillas
Yeah.
are the bodies, orangutans are the brains, and chimps are just kind of like the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
seems
the
it.
labor, kind of side.
Yeah.
So all those
Interesting.
groups were told to like chimps hang out with chimps, orangutans hang out with orangutans,
That's-
gorillas, gorillas. So
wow.
true or
Just-
false?
I'm
I'm
locked
locked
in.
in.
Interesting.
All right,
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'm gonna say false.
I'm
On
saying
that.
False.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, this might surprise you. It is false, so you're both correct. But it's not false
Yeah.
in the sense that it didn't happen. It's false in the sense that it was mandated by the production crew. It happened just naturally, where during lunch and stuff,
Oh,
the orangutans would chill with the orangutans, the gorillas would chill with the gorillas, the chimps would chill with the chimps, and the humans would chill with the humans. It just
That's
So
happens.
Charlton Heston would just eat with the lady that played Nova.
You think
and,
he
like,
was
the
gonna eat
other-
with anybody
You're-
else?
You're beautiful.
Look, come back to my trailer later.
I guarantee
I could
that's
run
true.
through lines.
That is almost like a sociology class, Mike.
Yeah.
That is so interesting that those people just inherently group themselves, opposed to like if I was
Sure.
doing this and I was a gorilla and Jacob was a chimp, I'd be like, we're friends. We'll hang out at lunch. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
feel the need to be like, stay back. I'm with my brothers.
My guess
Right.
would be it's due to the makeup process. Like you're
Yeah.
you're segregated like into different makeup units. You're spending like the first 4 hours of your day together, you know, and like a lot of scenes together. Like you're just kind of naturally hanging with them.
I read
Mm.
in the first 30 days, and apologies if this is one of your questions, Mike,
No, you're
that
good.
the diets for all of the actors had to be liquid based to keep everything on for the lunches. So they're just doing milkshakes and stuff. Fucking think about that.
Yeah, you have to
Lots of
drink with a
milkshakes.
straw. That was not one of my quizzes. And later they try to solve that problem like a Batman neck, like in the Tim Burton one. They're
Yes.
like, how can we eat? So, you know, that we'll probably see that.
Right.
There's ways. But yeah, so that was not true, but that it was mandated, but it did happen, weirdly. Sociology. A couple
Wow.
more here. Here we go. You know, the Planet of the Apes is officially recognized and preserved by the Library of Congress for the National Registry of Film in the United States. True or false?
Locked in.
Locked in.
All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
It's a
True,
classic.
true.
Classic.
True.
Of course,
Good call.
of course it is. You know,
Of course it is. Yeah, that's an
gotta
easy
be.
dub. It was officially recognized in 2001, which is the year I think the Tim Burton one came out, but it was alongside 25 other films, including Sound of Music, Jaws, Animal House, Hosers, among others. So it got in the same year that Jaws did. So
Cool.
Wow.
good company to be in.
Yeah, I'm excited. Again, I'm just excited to watch the reboot with James Franco, where it has so many references to this original one.
Now that you know, right? That's how I feel
yeah.
about Fallout. Like, oh, now I'll
Yeah.
I believe at one point they in the background when they're at the little Harry Potter kids zoo or whatever that is, they see a rocket and it says like
Yeah,
the
you see
Icarus
on
test or
you see on
something.
TV like the news of like 3 astronauts went missing
Yes.
on a
Yeah.
space flight.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
His
fucking
dad's watching the news. That's gonna be really cool to go check that out again.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
What's the score right now? Because I have some alt questions.
5-5?
that I
Is
can-
it tied?
5 to 5. Yeah.
5 to 5. Okay, well,
There we go.
in that case, is this one fun? Okay. Yeah, we'll do this one. It's quick. All right. Aside from, the role of Taylor, Charlton Heston. Besides Charlton Heston, it was offered to several other big Hollywood stars at the time, including John Wayne, Marlon Brando, Steve McQueen, and Rock Hudson. True or false? All of them turned it down.
Interesting.
Marlon Brando, Steve McQueen, Rock Hudson, John Wayne.
John Wayne. I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
All right. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'm saying false.
true.
Who else can
Wow.
do this, Jacob? Nobody else can. John
I'll
Wayne
say
can-
true. Why not?
Oh.
Yeah, well, guess
Those
what? It is
seem
true,
like-
Jacob.
Damn
Wow.
I
It seemed
couldn't
like
see
those
any
were
of them
actors they would
doing it.
ask to do it.
I would
Yeah.
think it'd be funny to see a John Wayne version.
Well, Rock Hudson,
Right.
my favorite. That'd be horrible. Jeez.
Yeah.
Steve
Marlon
McQueen, I couldn't see
Brando.
it.
I mean, Marlon Brando, I assume you would do it like Apocalypse Now or something, where you'd just be totally unhinged. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
no. John Wayne's the only one who would be funny, you know. Well, let me tell you,
Yeah.
Dr. Zaius, back in my day, this man had a heart
Rock
problem.
Hudson, it ends with him giving Zira a handshake as he like gets on the horse. You're like,
Yeah.
Interesting.
See ya. All right, so now it's 1 up. All right, I have 2.
Wow, I'm ahead.
3 more.
Jacob pulled away. Yeah.
Okay,
Let's go.
so
I'm ready
here's
to win my
number
first
10.
quiz.
A
Yeah.
lunch trip to a deli inspired the iconic ending of this film. True or false?
Okay.
Whoa. Okay.
I
I'm
know when you're
locked
locked in.
in. Yeah.
Locked in, Jacob?
Locked in.
All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
It's too
I'll say
weird.
true.
It is
yeah.
too weird.
Too specific to be
Too
made up. I
weird.
think.
And it is true. During the early drafts,
Wow.
Arthur P. Jacobs and originally tapped director Blake Edwards were going out to lunch, and the deli had a picture of the Statue of Liberty, and they were like, you know what? That would be a crazy twist ending. And, like, what if it was Earth and in the Statue of Liberty? So that kind of, because they were getting a sandwich
Yeah.
at Old Deli.
And that was the most recognizable landform or like thing that they could landmark.
Yeah,
that
what
they could
else
think
could
of.
it have been, would you think, Jacob? Because can I
Yeah.
say why I think it works?
French?
The human face. Like, what else has a
Oh.
human face on it that you immediately recognize? Fuck, we're humans. It's not a
Right.
monkey's head. You know,
That,
it's
like, the Eiffel Tower could be explained away. Oh,
yeah,
the
you would just
Lawgiver
be like, it's
Society
a
built
weird.
that.
If it was a pyramid, Mike, you'd be like, it's just a
Hmm.
weird structure. Like,
But what if it
is
was
that?
like the Abraham Lincoln Memorial, but Lincoln was an ape?
We'll
Think
get
about
there.
that.
We'll get there.
Again, I think that is the book. That is the
Yeah.
the reveal of the book.
Wow.
Oh wow.
And
But
so,
the
can I
human
say
face,
two
that's smart.
facts? We
Yeah.
just finished the quiz.
No, I have a couple more, but say some facts.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh no, go ahead. No, I was going to say if we wrapped it up.
I have 2 more,
That's
and then
more.
if
All
we
right.
have a tie, so be it.
I thought Jacob
All
was
right.
kicking my ass here. I still got a chance.
I'm ahead by 1 now.
Okay, so this is what we kind of talked about earlier. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. The iconic
Right.
moment with see no evil, hear no speak no evil was one of the few original thematic elements carried over from the book as well. True or false?
Oh.
I'm locked in.
All right.
Jacob?
Locked
All
in.
right. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
False.
False.
I'll say
right?
true.
Colin, it is false. It is
Wow.
false.
I didn't know what that meant, but I just sounded true, I guess.
Fair. So, I don't know if Charlton Heston suggested it, but they said a lot of that scene was kind of improvised, like just kind of back and forth. Let's kind of have some chemistry stuff. What I did want to say is the origins of that, to shout out Shogun, is the Sanzaru, which is the three monkeys. It's a thing from Tokugawa's death shrine area, and that's the first instance, 17th century Japan. The three monkeys.
If you told me it was in a French book, that's why I was like, no, not a chance. The guy who invented if we were all saying the thing from Planet of the Apes, the book, people would be like, well, you know what that's from, right? Like, there's no way I would have made it this far in life.
It is wild, though. Sometimes things come, things invent things that you think were always around. Like the movie The Bucket List invented basically the word bucket list. It didn't exist before that movie.
That's true. I hate that.
Yeah. People don't realize
that.
And not a popular movie. That's true.
Right. Yeah. But the term stuck. But See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Speak No Evil was a 17th century Japan thing.
Monkeys, and they were covering their ears and stuff.
Yep. There's wild. Also versions that go back, like not the exact three, but a version of this idea, like 2nd or 4th century China. Like it's kind of the three monkeys as we know them was first Tokugawa.
Somebody did that for their art project and was like, "Look what I did," and their mom was like, "That's great." Like, pretty. It's pretty. I'm kind of commenting on life, aren't I? And they're like, "I guess so."
Sure. I think you fight them in Sekiro too. So yeah, there you go.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
There you go.
So now it's tied, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's tied again.
Oh, whoa.
I should have known that was false. I was just like, I don't know. I guess that's plausible.
I only have one more question, so I hope one of you gets it wrong, one of you gets it right.
It's the game
number 12. Robert Gunner, who played Landon, played his last role of his career while in Planet of the Apes. True or false?
Like this was his last role of his career?
Last film role of his career, yeah. True or false?
Well, he got lobotomized after this.
Yeah. All right.
Living death. I'm locked in.
All right. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
False?
Okay, we got a split. And Jacob.
Let's go. What is it?
True.
It's true?
This is the last movie he did, and I do think it's funny because he spends the whole time just getting shit on by Taylor.
You idiot. You fool. You care
Everybody
about
you know is dead. You bitch. You're sad or something.
Planting that American flag in the beach.
Everyone I know is gone.
You have feelings.
A flower, beautiful, untouched by man.
Yeah.
So I wonder why.
Congratulations.
He's not that old in this movie. I wonder why he stopped acting. Maybe he wasn't getting roles or something.
Linda Harrison didn't do much after this either. She was just kind of, I'm over it. It was fun.
Sure.
So, what if it was Linda Hamilton?
Interesting.
Linda Hamilton didn't do much after her movies either. So.
Time travel though, so good crossover opportunity.
Yeah,
congratulations.
I'm happy that I won my first
final
quiz.
Scores?
Well, let's see. Let me count all these tallies.
11 to 10, I think. Maybe
7 to 6.
7 to 6.
8 to 7.
8 to 7.
8 to 7. Not bad. 8 to 7. Nice.
8 to 7.
Well, I'll tell you my. Sorry,
please go right ahead.
I have my one casting trivia that I have as well.
Great.
I believe so. When they were doing the first makeup test, Edward G. Robinson was in that makeup test, who was an actor that played a lot of gangster roles and stuff like that in the 40s and 50s. And I thought that was interesting because like, I know Edward G. Robinson, and I guess he was in the Dr. Zaius makeup in the makeup test, but for some reason wasn't in this movie. So,
do you know what other movie Edward G. Robinson's in?
Swiss Family.
A bunch of them.
He's the co-lead of Omega Man.
Oh. Wow. How about that?
Very interesting.
Another Star Trek shout out is Shatner's been in Twilight Zone,
Of course.
The famous
super most
gremlin
one.
On the plane.
Gremlin on the plane.
There's something on the wing. I just want to blow out 2 pieces of trivia real quick. That was an awesome quiz, Mike. Congratulations on winning.
Yes, very good. Very good quiz. I give you
quiz it all to hell.
As the quiz
all to hell.
Quiz this all to hell. John Chambers, just to talk about the John Chambers of it all, the makeup artist. And I held off on talking about him because I wasn't sure how much he was going to come up in our quiz here. But the life that this guy had, when I said he had another interesting thing going on, after this, when he did the most iconic makeup artistry ever, invented this process of prosthesis, basically, of applying these things on and doing these things. He worked for the CIA, doing makeup for spies in missions. He is the basis.
People that were dressed like apes for a mission.
You have to go to Russia and you have to be a chimpanzee.
There's
hide in the Russian zoo.
And he didn't get an info on him.
Well, Jacob, he did a very famous mission. He is, of course, the John Goodman character in Argo. He did the fake spy mission,
Oh.
fake movie that got those people freed in Argo.
Wow.
Whoa.
So
Argo,
John
fuck
Chambers
yourself.
rules.
Yeah.
Argo, fuck yourself, of course.
Damn.
Of course, never forget. And
That's
just the
awesome.
last awesome makeup fact is that when they were doing these tests, and I sent you guys the makeup tests originally of James Brolin, noted actor, did the original screen test of what they thought they were going to go with, which was
That's right,
very
Josh
reduced
Brolin's
in the
father, of
simian look.
course.
Josh Brolin's Thanos' father himself, as Mike
Mhm.
pointed out. And when they settled on John Chambers going for the more full simian version, I want you guys to look up a picture of this. Jerry Goldsmith, who did this weird score, and we didn't talk about the score. Jacob, try to hum the score. Right? It's like static,
That's right.
weird,
Yeah. There's like weird
disconcerting
percussion
noise.
moments and stuff too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it's weird scatting that comes in, right? He
Mhm.
orchestrated all that, Jerry Goldsmith, in a monkey mask. He asked to be put in and wear
Really?
one of the masks and did the orchestration while as a monkey the entire time. Look it up. It's
That's
crazy.
funny.
Well,
I did love the Jared
awesome.
Goldsmith connection, of course,
It's
because
so weird. Yeah.
you know, he's famous for doing Star Trek. You know, a lot of the original Star Trek movies were scored by Jerry Goldsmith, as
Mhm.
well as the Voyager theme and the DS9 theme and the TNG theme, I believe. So
He did Alien. He's got
yeah.
a great filmography, honestly.
Yeah, he's killing
So,
it.
that's
That's awesome though that he did the ape mask for this. He did Boys from Brazil as well. So look at that. A lot of
Oh,
good
sure.
stuff.
I'm sure
Chinatown,
that's how he
Patton,
worked with this director. That makes sense.
collabing. Very cool.
Sure.
So yeah, shout out to the score, but it is very weird and staccato. So the fact that
He
he
didn't
was
do the
in character to do it is
yeah.
fascinating.
That is hilarious. And he
Yeah.
didn't do the original Star Trek theme from the TV show, but he did do a lot of the
The
later
motion picture, Search
yeah.
for Spock.
But
all that
he
kind of
he
stuff.
does the vocals for the Enterprise song.
Yeah, he sings that alt rock song that Mike loves.
Oh,
Fly
hell
through
yeah.
space.
Been a long road. It's gonna be my alarm soon. Well, that's awesome. I love connecting things to Star Trek when we can.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
then,
Well, this could
you know,
be an episode of Star Trek. You know, it's very similar. You know, that 60 side. I mean, the original Star Trek, really, where it's like Shatner is another one that would be really funny to play Taylor. I think.
And
There's
like
a
honestly,
pretty
Yeah.
well-known comic book series that is Star Trek meets the Planet of the Apes and is a crossover. I'll say real quick, just on that note, Marvel now owns the rights to everything Fox-wise, and they did 3 imprints to kick off their new comic book line, 20th Century Comics. I have a couple of them behind me. I have 2 of the runs in that they did an original Predator run, an original Alien run, and Planet of the Apes. Now that Planet of the Apes run that they did was 5 issues, and it is a prequel to the Andy Serkis movies where you see the world succumbing to the virus. They just announced they're doing a new series called Beyond the Planet of the Apes that is about Cornelius and Zira doing their little mission before Taylor comes to the planet. So you see him doing archaeology. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
You guys
That
want to
is
read
cool.
that? That's coming out like this year. That is new continuity stuff. So
Cornelius
Alright.
is kind of like
Weird.
the Indiana Jones of ape world.
sure.
Hey, but
Doing
in a
archaeology.
museum. Yeah.
The gorillas wear
This
like
baby doll
Nazi
belongs to the
leather,
museum.
basically. So it is kind of like fighting
Yeah.
Nazis.
Yep. Oh man.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, and that's been you quizzed it up, you maniacs, quizzed you all to hell, and thank you for playing. It was a lot of fun putting it together, and we'll see.
That was a great quiz.
what we
Excited
come
for
up
these
with next time.
sequels. And yeah.
Let's get to final thoughts. You know, ape shall never quiz ape. That's why I'm the one quizzing you guys. Just make
That's
sure
right.
we're above board. Okay?
Humans are the only species that kills for fun.
They're shifty. You can't trust them. Look at them always grabbing things.
They
Says
turn
that at one
their-
point.
The world into a desert, and then they come into your world and turn that into a desert.
They
Mhm.
put them in that cage, and he's like, "Go on, mate." It's like,
That
oh,
doesn't take much, I guess, depending.
no.
No, but we're back. Final thoughts, Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I love this movie. I'm glad that you got to experience it for the first time, Jacob. Colin, you got to see it, again, and kind of new appreciation. I do have different
Yeah.
perspectives after not having seen it for at least, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
No, I'm
for
excited to
sure.
be doing this franchise and doing a franchise like Star Trek where we start with some older movies. Because it kind of, it's something different where it's like,
Yeah.
pirates, they were all starting in the 2000s. This is like we're watching a movie from 1968. And I enjoy watching things that I've never seen before like this and expanding my horizons of what I've seen. So
Yeah.
very excited to get into the sequels of these movies, and from what I hear, they're super crazy and stuff. So I'm just
What
excited
would
to see where
you?
they
So
go.
I want to
Yeah.
We're gonna do a segment going forward. I think that is Jacob's first reactions, where we have to be like, "What did you think of that movie watch?" But I also want to do this one at the end where you're like, "Okay, Jacob,
Oh, yeah.
there's 4 more original movies of this series, and you just
That's wild.
said Taylor's not in a lot of them. What would
Yeah.
you guess is the rest? So you think the next one is a political? Do you think it's the trial of Zira and
Do we give him the
Cornelius?
title?
Well, I know
That's
the
interesting.
title
Okay.
Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
So
right?
what do you
Beneath the
think
Planet of the
happens in Beneath
Yeah.
the Planet of the Apes? Having
What's
not
down
seen
there?
it.
That's a great
Yeah.
question. That's a great question.
Yes.
I have no
Fun.
idea. I guess I assume there's gonna be some. I mean, I think that Zira and Cornelius are going to be in it, but there's going to be a new human main character to pivot away from Charlton Heston, who probably didn't want to
Every
come back to
human
the
we
sequel.
know is dead. So who
Yeah.
would that be in your mind? It's Nova?
I don't know. Maybe there's like a human in the tribe that is smarter than the other ones and somehow learns to
good
speak.
guess.
I don't really know because obviously these
Mm.
astronauts came here from the past. And so I don't know how you would have another human
It's
point
the
of
year
view character.
3500 or something
Yeah.
like that.
But I do think that like ape politics are going to be like a big part of the next one or whatever, of like deciding like,
Interesting.
ape society, what should we do now that we know there's this smart human out there?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah.
But where the Beneath comes in, I really have no idea how that
God,
kind of ties in.
it's
Unless there's some
only
kind
going to
of
get
secret,
more Star Trekky. That's all I'm going to say.
some kind of secret
When we get to the
society
end
or
of these,
something under the ground.
there
I
we
don't
go.
know.
Mike's
Speak
covering his
nothing,
mouth.
you
He's
know.
got it.
Yeah.
He's got it right.
I'm excited to
for you to
watch
see
it
it.
next month. Yeah.
Yeah.
My big dilemma, of course, is that we have this new one coming out, Kingdom
Yeah.
of the Planet of the Apes. And I want to see, here's the thing, is because if I go see that in theaters or I see it whenever it comes out, I would want to go back and watch at least all the new ones, right? Starting with the Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob, I was kind of on the fence about that, where I was like, it's a new whatever it is. I don't think you need to do that. Every trailer I've seen recently starts with Andy Serkis doing interviews being like, well, the legacy we've created with these characters,
Right.
where I'm like, wait, is it super tied
Well,
into
of course,
those movies?
it is tied into those movies, but it's the biggest time jump between the last one. So it's been like a couple hundred years. So they've progressed because those movies are basically all a prequel to what we know of Planet of the Apes, where it's like it's setting up the world of the apes.
Mm.
And now it's like a couple hundred years time jump, and apes are like the dominant society now. So it's getting to basically that 2001 Tim Burton stage of it.
You have no idea what's coming. You just have no idea what's coming, and listeners too.
But I just don't know what to
pray
do.
You also hold off. Yeah. What
'cause
do you? It's
do
a
I
great
wait?
question.
Because in 6 months we're gonna watch those movies. So if I watch them now, then the impact in 6 months is gonna be less because I just watched them. So I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll just wait on seeing the new one, but I do want to support it if it's good.
I think we got to go to theaters for it, though. I think we got to, if we're in ape frenzy mode right now, I think we got to help out the box office. Because we talked off pod. I don't think it's going to make a lot of money, and neither do you guys. So
I'm surprised that it even got made because it's been like 7 years since the last one. And they made those first 3 all pretty quick in succession. And they all kind of work together as a sort of trilogy.
Well, yeah. Again, we'll give our opinion on those. To me, it very much seems like that guy who directed them, Wes Ball, was supposed to do those Mouse Guard movies for Fox. Disney bought Fox, said you're not doing those. It seems like this came together very quickly.
Matt Reeves did the second and third one of the new ones.
But just
Reeves.
it just seems like Disney
Reeves,
does not. It seems like what I just said about the comics, where they're like, we should be doing something with this. We don't know what that is, but we should be doing something with this. You're like, okay, I guess.
The fact that it even got made at all, it's like
it's surprising.
It's been 7 years. I guess we're gonna make another ape movie. It's tied into those other ones that people liked for the most part. Yeah,
Jacob,
you just watched one you liked.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, Colin,
That was
you
a great one.
mentioned those comics. We have Alien, Predator, and Planet of the Apes. Like, I love this franchise, but it's definitely the lesser of those three things. As far as like,
Yeah.
and Predator has been having a rough
But
time. Alien's been kind of up and down, but
yeah,
this is still
Predator
has the least
just
buy-in
found their feet, Mike. Like Predator
with
just
Prey.
figured it out.
Yep.
We have to
it's the lesser of those
walk away.
franchises,
Oh, yeah.
but it
Yeah.
has the best new movies of those franchises, which is kind of crazy.
I think
Where it's
Prey
like-
is better than. I don't know. I'd have
Well,
to
yeah,
watch
but if you
these
put
new
all
ones.
the newer Predator movies in, so you're like Predators and like all those bad movies.
There's two that I would watch, and one of them's AVP, and that's not good. I can
Yeah.
watch it.
But like
We are on the same page there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said already, like I'm a big fan of the 2010s Planet of the Apes movies. I'm a big fan of those ones. I love my guy Caesar, and so I'm excited to get to those.
Can I pitch you
Ape
guys a
Together
movie
Strong.
real quick?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's called AVA, Alien, or
Versus Apes.
AVPVA, Alien versus Predator versus Apes. Yeah.
Versus Kong. 'Cause
Okay.
We gotta get Kong in there as
Yeah.
leader of the apes, right? Kong meets the
Yeah.
other apes.
Oh my god.
So it's
rocket-
Alien
so
versus
Jacob,
Predator versus
a
Apes versus
rocket
Godzilla
lands.
versus Kong.
The rocket lands after an egg has hatched. A xenomorph comes out of it. A yachtja, a predator, whatever you call them, uncloaks, and then a rocket lands, and Dr. Zaius gets out. Jacob, who are you putting your money on? Who wins that fight?
I mean, Dr. Zaius will use his power of government censorship to
Diplomacy.
You don't exist,
Yeah.
alien.
Yeah.
Not in my
What's
government.
this nonsense?
Oh man.
Watch this down. He's great, Dr. Zayas. I do love when
Yes.
they're in the cave, and Taylor's trying to be like, look at the evidence, and Zayas is like, my niece does this, and like I could explain away any of this however I wanted, and then he's like, so what happened to the humans if they were here? Zayas is asking him, and Heston's like, I don't know, a disease or something. It's like, you're just conjecturing too, my guy. Like, your
Yeah,
answer is not any
exactly.
better than
Yes.
his. It's so good.
You're from a fort.
So when it was a plague in the remake movies, is that a callback to Charlton Heston being like, "Oh no, a disease wiped him out," or who knows?
I think so, because it's basically
which is
showing.
A nice touch.
Yeah, it's like a prequel to what would cause the Planet of the Apes.
Remember, it's
But
all
in the
about
rise.
Alzheimer's. That movie's wild.
I know, I love it. I'm
Crazy,
excited to talk
man.
about it. I'm a
Love
big
it.
fan
He
of that movie.
loves the James Franco one.
Well, once you
It's the
see
best.
these sequels too, I think it's going to really inform some of the.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a lot. We do get the origin of Caesar Prime, as I will keep calling him in these
Yes.
later sequels. So
Right,
you're
yeah.
going to notice a lot more callbacks. Like Ape Shall Never Kill Ape, Ape Together Strong. We keep mentioning this stuff from the
It's-
Lawgiver. None of that has
Absolutely.
even been presented to us yet. Technically,
Yeah.
No, it's so. But think about this to like put comparisons in. Mike and I are so like, ooh, we're in the fucking Kirk Shatner era. This is
Yep.
so great. The next generation.
I'm
is
like,
literally
I love the
one
J.J.
movie.
Abrams ones.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. The next generation is one movie. It's
Yep.
Tim Burns, and they're like, put that away. And then Jacob's like,
it's
but my
just
Star
Nemesis.
Trek Beyond, baby. I'm all about Star
Yeah.
Trek Beyond. It's like,
Mhm.
no, we know, dude. We'll get there.
Where's Star Trek?
I'm excited
4
to
is
see the
coming, right?
originals.
Yeah. The
I
Tim
was
Burton
saying
one
to
is just
Mike-
Nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, off the pod, like I know there's one where they time travel to modern day like
God.
Earth, and to me that's
Mhm.
like the long voyage home. I hope so. I hope it can compare to that.
It's so Star Trek. You're so
Yeah.
right. It's so
And as
good.
we
I'm
get
excited.
out of 1968 and the original series ending in 69, I can only assume we're going to have more talent crossover between the production of this and TOS,
Sure.
etc.
That's right.
during that
We'll
interim.
see.
But yeah,
Mike, did you ever watch the series? Did
I
you
never
ever?
did.
Okay, that's the only one I would be interested to check out too.
Yeah.
That they technically the timeline did continue after those 5 movies in that, but we're listeners. We're obviously not going to do that. We're doing Dunstan
No.
checks in instead. So
Absolutely, yeah, it's an MVP, all of them.
that's right.
Roddy McDowall again, yeah, he becomes kind of the torchbearer for this too, and like
Yes.
he's in most of these, including the television
Sure.
series. He plays
And
Caesar Prime eventually. Like he
That's right.
stops playing Cornelius,
Oh,
he does
sure.
Caesar Prime. He's
He
kind of
plays his own son essentially. Yeah.
yeah. Which
excited
I
to
love
see
Roddy
the
McDowall in this
Caesar
role. I think
character.
he's really emotive.
Yeah.
So
Again, they should have got his brother Malcolm.
Sure.
He would have put a crazy twist on it.
Roddy
They're not actually
McDowall,
brothers, I don't
not actually brothers, then, but just to point out the guy real quick, because another actor my father just was in love with, I guess, as a
Mhm.
kid, because you grew up and he was a very famous child actor. I don't know if you guys know this. How Green Was Your Valley, a huge Best Picture winner. But when
Right.
my dad was a kid, he was the kid in Lassie. So he would be like, Lassie, come home. Like,
Mhm.
so, he grew up to do that. A movie you guys should check out, fucking Hell House, a Roddy McDowall horror movie that basically is remade by Scary Movie 2, which is about a bunch of teenagers in a hell house, right? Like that is
Right.
the movie they're parodying there.
Yeah.
Roddy McDowall is incredible as a gay psychic in that movie. It's fucking
Whoa.
awesome. High
You
recommendation.
can tell if people are
Check
gay.
That's
He's got
exactly
really
right.
good gaydar. Yeah.
I'm picking up a vibe, and it's
His
very
gaydar
cool.
is excellent. Well, Colin,
I see your
Mike,
critique.
how green is my valley, as we talked about or I mentioned on the Oscar draft episode we did, that was the movie that beat out Citizen Kane for Best Picture at the Oscars. So
No kidding.
it's got to be better than Citizen
I've
Kane.
never seen it. Wow, it's got to be a piece of shit,
Yeah.
actually. And
Wow.
Fright
Directed by
Night.
John
Roddy
Ford.
McDowall's in
Yeah.
Fright Night, if you guys ever
That's
saw
right.
that, which of course
Fright Night.
remade
The
by
original Fright
Anton
Night.
Yelchin. Yes,
Yeah.
our Star Trek.
Wow. Yeah, The
Wow.
Legend of
It's
Hell
all
House
adding up.
73. Okay.
Legend of Hell House. Thank you. That is, it's
I'm gonna
fucking
check that out.
awesome.
That's the cover art. That's 70s horror stuff. Yeah, the cover art looks good. Interesting. Well, I love the Planet of the Apes. If you can find it in 4K,
It's wild.
I was surprised how good this looked.
I'm sure.
Because some of the filmmaking can sometimes feel amateurish, like when they're whipping the camera around when the plane is crashing. It's like, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah.
But like once we're in the desert and like it really
they had some
does
good
look nice.
locations. I mean, I assume they went out to the California desert or whatever.
lot of
It's
Utah and
Arizona. It's
Uh,
Arizona, and then the beach, Jacob, where he's like, "I'll go up the coastline." That's Malibu.
Yeah.
And they just
Oh,
put,
sure,
they just put a fucking little statue in there. They're like, "No."
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
I've shot at that beach. Like a random student
right.
film.
I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Iconic, but I didn't
Well-
slam my hands into the water like I should have.
No.
Yeah.
Our last episode, we will go to that beach.
Yes, we'll go to
Yeah, we'll
Malibu.
record live from.
Damn
the
it all
beach.
Oh my
Hell.
god, that would be so funny. Full
That'd be
makeup.
good. What are you guys doing here?
Shut up.
Yeah, but I'm excited to
cigar.
get more into this series over the next 4 months and watch all these sequels and see how crazy they get. So before we get to the Tim Burton one, of course. So
Yeah, again, this original 5, they're all just different moral parables, about society and whatever. So I just like that they're kind of they're their own little cautionary tales with apes. It's very fun. So
that
It's-
60s,
I'm-
70s sci-fi vibe,
Yeah.
Twilight Zone. Yeah.
I'm realizing
Learning lessons.
I'm going to have the same issue as you, Jacob, because I know when we did the Star Trek ones, you said you'd watch one and you'd be like, I got to watch Wrath of Khan now, or I got to follow it up. It's going to be hard to not jump into the rest right away.
I
but
was
I'm gonna
thinking
try to
that.
hold it off.
I'm
when I
really
finished this one, I
dying.
was like, I want to go right into the next one, but I gotta wait. A month.
I might jump back to our old friends. I might watch Wrath of Khan after this just to be like, it kind of feels the same. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Jerry
That's a
Goldsmith.
great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cardo
No, it's
Montalban.
fun. Well, I'm glad we found a new series, and I'm glad we're jumping in this. It's a classic. Again, Taylor's a freaking maniac, but
Yeah. But we
sometimes you
got
gotta listen to the
April,
American in the room.
Goodbye,
Planet-
April.
Planet of the April, going into Planet of the Mapes.
Yeah, and I think the
It's
new movie
good.
comes out May 8th.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We got some other good
next
movies coming out soon, so I'm excited to talk about going into summer. We got new releases and a lot of good stuff coming out. So
Get
stay
pumped.
tuned, normies.
Our Zira, this is important. Zira and Nova, they are Disney princesses now, technically.
I was gonna say who would I pick, Mike? And you
Oh.
know I'm going Zero.
Yeah, she's so smart. You
Sure.
can talk to her.
I guess they are Disney princesses.
I'm gonna see how she
yeah.
compares to the Helena Bonham Carter version in a couple
Mhm.
months.
Yeah.
And you'll get a lot more exposure to Zira and Cornelius in the coming movies too. So
Oh,
buckle
great.
up.
I can't wait.
Buckaroo.
Meets his wife on that set. Meets Helena Bonham Carter and cheats on his wife, who's playing a different ape in that movie, to be with Helena
Really?
Bonham Carter.
I didn't
You
know
know,
that.
in makeup, weird.
I hope so.
That's the only way
Knowing
it's
Tim
worth it.
Burton,
So
the
damn
answer is
ugly.
yes. Yeah.
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 But you're so damn ugly. Well, we're gonna shave our faces because we're finally getting out of here, and we can't look. People our age,
Where I come from, only kids like you have beards.
never.
I don't go in
We
for
would
fads.
never.
Climb off my back.
Hey.
There's so many weird slangs in this. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, climb off my back right now.
Climb off my back.
Again, can
I'm
I
gonna
just
start
climb
saying
off
that
it?
to people.
And for my final thought, I just want to shout out that one scene where Landon plants the American flag in the beach, and then it cuts to a weird shot of Charlton Heston laughing like menacingly and
Pans
zooms in
up
on
to
his
the
head.
sky or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, zooms in.
It's
Amazing
crazy.
shot. Yeah.
We'll talk about I've got more Charlton Heston stories. We'll save that for next time since we get him
Yeah.
a little bit more. We'll
Mhm.
say goodbye to him there. But I love the man, and yeah, we are gonna miss him. But thank you, Normies, for following along. If you're gonna continue your journey with us, we recommend you dab out that cigar, take your little sleepy time heroin shot, lay down, check for any cracks real quick. You're gonna want to
Mhm.
make
And
sure
make sure
you
there's no
don't
air
have
leaks.
anything- Yeah, anything going wrong in your little
That's what the smoke was for. Is
Cinderella
trying to
bed.
see if it was escaping anywhere. That was tactical
Right.
cigar. Everything seemed
Yeah.
fine.
So good night. But before you do that, hit us up at normies_like_us. Rate, review, subscribe. Tell us you're going apes too. You know, when we're not doing these long forms, suggest other episodes. Say to us, hey, if you guys like apes, I want to hear you do this too. We'll definitely listen to that as well, and hit us up on YouTube because Mike did some great cigar bits this entire episode that you're gonna miss out on otherwise. And Jacob,
That's right.
like Jerry Goldsmith, is gonna do the next one in a full ape mask. So get ready.
Yeah.
I wish I had one. Yeah.
I'm going to put the remainder of my cigar in my zippered cigar pouch. I am in the jumpsuit. Shout out to Taylor's jumpsuit.
Mike-
You know what I'm saying?
Mike, I was thinking while I was watching this, you have entered your jumpsuit era, and I was thinking with the beard and being a handsome guy like you are, Taylor would be a good Halloween costume for you, dog.
yeah.
Not bad.
You walk around with a little monkey in your arms. That's
Oh my
pretty good, I
gosh.
think.
You
The
could
cigar.
go around saying stuff like, "Man kills his own brother. I'm trying to get away from him because there's got to be something better out there."
You just walk
His
up to any
face.
conversation and say that and walk away. Just like
Yeah, say the
drop
most
these
cynical
bars.
thing you can.
Hey, what's your deal?
I
Let me
ever
tell
knew
you
in
your
love
deal.
has
You're
been
dressed up
dead
like
for-
Pocahontas. Yeah.
Just keep doing the laugh Jacob loves in the background.
I guess
Note
we're
about
staying.
that jumpsuit real quick.
Yeah.
First of all, it had a tactical heroin zipper flap for the sleeve, so you could, you know,
Right.
which whatever they're doing, sleep medicine,
Puts a
but
cigar in his pocket
Crack mark.
before he
cigar
goes to
pocket,
sleep.
standardized.
Cigar.
But I like to think George Lucas saw this as a young filmmaker and was like, there are no zippers in the future. Because there are too many on that jumpsuit. And George Lucas was like, there's no zippers in Star Wars.
Sure.
Well,
There's
don't
too
you
many.
think Ripley is just wearing a blue version of this? I mean, she's wearing literally exactly the same jumpsuit, dude.
Yo, jumpsuit
And the
era is great.
hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah,
Could be,
yeah. Definitely
Yeah.
influence for the hyperbaric chamber from this. And then what if
Very weird.
Stewart was the only one to live? Here
Wow.
we go.
Oh boy.
Love to see it.
Anyways, we've been your hosts. Enough monkey business. We're gonna say goodbye. This is your host. I don't know. I want to be a monkey now. I'm gonna say Dr. Colin.
I mean,
Dr. Chimp Colin.
Dr.
Nice.
Colonelius.
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of is's. Julius, Zaius. I'll be
Yeah.
Mike to Zaius.
And this is
That's good.
you can call me Bright Eyes, but my name's Jacob Taylor.
Jacob Tail, Bright Cobb.
All right,
Bye,
give me a
Bright
horse
Eyes.
and 50 bullets, and I'm getting out of here.
But you're so ugly, Bright Eyes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Don't listen to anybody over 30, normies.
That's right.
Unless
Don't
you're
trust
telling you to
authority.
like, share, and subscribe. Yep. Fight the power.
See you later.
And as
Super
Nova
airplane.
always says,
Profound. Bye.
Bye-bye.
hey.